Did you buy another model? I can't believe you. You have way too many of those things. You need to sell some of them. You're wasting all your time and money on models. Paint what you have.
Hello and welcome to Model Club TV episode 29. As always, you wrote it. Wow. XXIX? Really?
Roman numerals, like the Super Bowl.
Oh, cool.
We're getting big, like the Super Bowl. We're an event.
As always, I'm Jason Walker, and my lovely co-host is Scott Johansson. How are you, sir?
I'm great. I'm out of focus.
That's probably good for the rest of us, though.
Yeah, that's true. My hair's getting a little long. I'm a little less decante.
Yeah, you look like a hippie with hair that long. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know. I think I put it in a ponytail.
Dude, you should grow like a little greasy ponytail in back.
Yeah, that's what I should do. Yeah. You should with that hippie haircut of yours. You can take the beard and go down into a ponytail.
Dude, I grew my hair out, when was that time you saw me? I looked terrible. Yeah. Dude, oh God, it's gross. Anyway, how's everybody doing today? It is the end of August. Holy cow. How did this happen? Summer's over. This sucks. Back to work. I'm wiped out every day. If this gets out on time before the actual end of August, I would be very happy.
Mm-hmm. If you didn't have control issues and you'd give me control of some of this.
I don't have control issues. I have trust issues.
That's part of control issues. Okay?
I guess you're right.
I could do the emails. I could help out. Okay.
Yeah, I know. We'll see. Maybe one day.
You know what? You're just a miserable person. You want to bitch about everything. I gotta do this. I gotta do that.
I am a miserable person.
And, I'm sitting here. I have all this talent. Okay, going to waste.
Okay. All right. If that's what you call it, talent. Yep.
I really can't even believe the fact that I'm doing this for no money.
Hey, I'm doing it for no money, and I'm doing 3 times the work you are. So
here we see. There we go.
All right. I forgot something super important last episode. So I'm moving an email from last episode to the beginning of this episode. So it's technically a correction and an email in the beginning in the wrong spot, but I want to get it done. Let me put on the email glasses. This is from Robert Trock in response to our 3D printing episode. So technically it's an episode behind. Really like that last episode. I'm also 3D printing using a Nova Elfin printer. And yes, there is an annoying time-consuming learning curve. So every bit of practical info I can get is worth a lot to me because 3D printing is a boon to diorama building. Scott, those animation prints are very tempting. Damn it. Here's where the good stuff comes in. And last, I have a short video message about the diorama of miracles. Inserting video message here.
Hey, Phil. Robert Trock here. We've never met, but I have to tell you, I love your work, especially those charming little B-movie vignettes you do. But as the late, great Don Rickles would have said, Phil, you're 90. Lay down. Stop annoying the people. Seriously, all jokes aside, the diorama of miracles, don't judge it too harshly, because when it's done, you might really like what you see. There's a lot of great stories, little individual stories in it, and you could spend hours just looking at all the different stories. So, hope you're there when we get it done. I hope I'm here when we get it done too. And again, Phil, I actually really do love your stuff. It's great. And I spoke to the home, Phil. You've been spitting up again.
Wow.
Yep. Wow. The beef from Phil has been responded to with beef from Robert. So
maybe we could just have a back and forth beef.
Dude, we need a beef episode. That'd be cool.
Beef episode, yeah. It's like a Festivus episode.
Festivus, airing of beefs.
Air your grievances.
Dude, I like this idea. But we call it the airing of beefs. And then we put a big beef sandwich up.
Beef of this. Yeah.
Beef, yes, something. All right. Throw the ideas out there. So you guys can work this out on Facebook, and we'll figure that out. Scott, where's your favorite beef sandwich?
I don't eat beef sandwiches.
What? Where do you live?
You're not an English teacher. I don't eat beef sandwiches.
Where do you live?
I live in Midlothian, Illinois.
No,
What?
it's hot dogs, pizza, beef sandwiches.
It's pizza, and pizza.
Wait,
I
you don't
will
eat
eat
hot
hot
dogs
dogs.
either?
I will eat hot dogs, but plain, nothing on them at all.
All right, we're going on. Anyway,
You gonna show me your feet again, you nasty fuck.
well, that's coming later. You'll see. And you can thank Phil for that. So,
Great.
Scott, just real quick, see any movies?
No.
Why do I even bother asking? I saw The Green Knight, and I loved it. I highly recommend The Green Knight, Arthurian tale, and it is done really well, shot really well, cool little story. It's a beautiful movie, beautiful film, I would say. So please, everyone, if you can, check out The Green Knight. There is a kit opportunity, which you'll see here with this picture, I think, of The Green Knight. And it's not spoiling anything because it's right in the beginning of the movie, but
Looks kind of blue to me.
yeah, he does look blue. It's because he was in, like, you'll see. No, you won't, because you won't watch the damn movie. News and reviews.
Oh, news and reviews. I want to start out by expressing our condolences to our good friend Tom Grossman, whose wife, Maxine, we mentioned last episode,
Yep.
lost her battle this past week with cancer. And Tom's grieving, but he was really grateful we mentioned it. And we're going to mention it again. Our thoughts are with Tom and his family. And our deepest condolences.
It
So,
sucks. Really does.
but okay, we
Yeah.
got that out of the
Yeah.
way.
Our horrible, awful segue we have to do now every
Yes.
episode.
Yes.
Moving on to jokes and humor.
Yeah.
My
All right.
first news and review kind of thing just happened yesterday.
Hey.
Warhammer Plus launched, and this might only mean something to me.
And Trevor.
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
maybe Trevor, check it out. $6 a month. They're jumping on the Plus bandwagon of paying more money for stuff you might get for free, but not really. So they added it's like Disney Plus, it's like Netflix, it's all that, but strictly all Warhammer stuff. So there's a lot of painting classes on there on how to paint miniatures. I haven't watched that yet because it just started yesterday. So I think they go a lot more in depth into their painting how-to videos than they do with their YouTube stuff, which is rather simple. If you don't know anything about Games Workshop, they have a very distinct painting style of how they do edge highlighting, and it's very different than a lot of other miniature painters. They paint more for the gaming table and instead of like the higher end of it. So I'm interested to see how their painting videos turn out. So there's a whole show on there called Masterclass where they're just painting all the time. And then they have a bunch of other animated shows they're putting on there. They have like game reports for all of that. You also get access to apps that you'd have to normally pay for. And you get a free miniature, which not free because you're technically paying for it, but you get a miniature with it on your 1-year anniversary of subscribing. And I think it's a good deal. So check it out. Warhammer Plus, if you're a Warhammer fan. I have not been paid by Games Workshop. I wish I was to
You got
give
a
this
lot of
commercial.
disposable income, I can tell you.
No, I don't. I'm just going into debt and hoping I get hit by a car. So
I could arrange that.
Scott from Paul Gill, what's he got for us this week? It's something every episode, which is kind of cool.
Paul Gill, and Paul has showed me this a while back, and I was perusing the clubhouse and found the post, so I got a hold of him today and said, "Hey, can I show this?" And he's like, "Yeah, go ahead." So this is sculpted in clay, so this is not a digital sculpt. by Hollywood effects artist Michael White, and it is The Big Boss. I think we all know who the Big Boss is.
Big Boss.
And
The big
man, this thing is
boss.
really, really nice.
I think this Big Boss is this is so hard. My second or third favorite villain in this series of movies. Does that work?
Sure.
Okay.
Cool.
So to see this is really cool. I love this. I love it. I love it. I love it.
And I think there's going to be some rings. Looking at the pictures, on the bottom of those like gargoyle things.
Mm-hmm.
And if you reference some Big Boss pictures of his throne, you'd see those same things. So
Okay.
and then I also wanted to show this quick picture of the house that dripped blood. This is the first side shot I think we've seen of it, and it's a pretty hefty kit. And again, that'd be a weird mold. I'm looking at that going, that'd be a weird mold. So I just happened to see this, and so yeah, I'm going to throw this up here just because I know
Yeah.
Paul's still making the kit, and it's kind of a good side view. I think we've showed the front view, but I don't think we've seen the good side view of it. So
Yeah. Cool.
sculpted by Jeff Yeager
That guy. He sculpts a lot of stuff
in clay.
in clay. I have one thing physically in hand for news and reviews. You ready, Scott?
Oh boy.
The Psycho Gorman soundtrack on vinyl from Waxwork Records. I have not listened to it yet. Came 2 days ago, but I haven't had time. So, Jesse, if you're watching, are you jealous? He's probably not watching.
Hell no.
Wait, how do I get in all in camera? Look at that. Look at this. The most important thing is, though, side B, song 9, Frig Off, is on there, which is the greatest song in the history of songs. Go to YouTube, Google Frig Off, look up Frig Off. It's the best.
The history song. That's the best song.
If I could play it on this episode and not get in trouble for copyright or something, I would do it. But please, everyone, go to YouTube, type in Frig Off, Psycho Gorman, watch the song. It's the best. All right. Scott, you found a cool paint job.
I did find a cool paint job. As everyone knows, I'm an Aurora guy. Or started out as an Aurora guy, like a lot of us did. And on one of the Aurora groups, this gentleman, Stephen Rosario Pisani, I'm going to say, I saw this Monsters kit, and I was like, he added to it, and he really kind of went all out with, raising the grandpa figure way up there and the spider webs that aren't part of the kit. And, nice clean paint job, but it's like really cool.
Yeah, that's a great way to handle that because that's a kind of wonky, weird looking kit in the first place.
Yeah. And the grandpa, that figure isn't really that great, the grandpa figure, but
yeah.
So it's a nice way to kind of get it up there and make it look a little cooler. So
yeah.
I just liked it. I saw that and I was like, yeah, I'm showing that. That's kind of cool.
Well done.
Thanks. I didn't do it though.
Yeah. What are you saying? Well done finding it, Scott.
Thank you.
We're going to have a giveaway.
We are. What about last month's giveaway? Did you do?
Yeah, we got that coming. We're gonna have 2 giveaways actually this month, and we're pulling for. Now, wait. Let me start over. I'm like, where the hell did I put it? I got so much shit over here.
Such a dork fuck.
All right, Scott, we're going to do our giveaway before we go into anything else. And last episode's giveaway was for Fay Ray from Pestilence Labs and Mark Worthling. So
you said Worthling. Hold on.
I said Worthling. Drink up. Yep. All right, pulling for names. Here we go. Stormheart 911, unmodified, Bay Ray.
There we go.
All right, so he's got that one. So now we're pulling for the modified. Buck St. Bucky.
Buck St. Bucky.
So there we go. That's what we got. All right.
All right. So you guys need to get a hold of Jason by email.
Yes, email, please. Email.
We had a problem getting last episode's winner. He sent us a private message,
and I don't see those often.
Which again, Jason never checks because that control issues and won't let me check them. So it took a while to get that going. And actually, we're filming this on August 26th, but it will be well in the mail to you, Brian, by then because it's going in the mail tomorrow. That's on me a little bit.
Yeah.
But,
modelclubtv@gmail.com. Send me the email winners, and we'll get that stuff out to you. Awesome.
Thanks again to Mark Worthling.
Yes.
For donating those 2 kits and making me pay for mine.
For Mark Worthling.
And Worthling.
Okay. So we have 2 giveaways this episode. Scott, talk about your first one.
Our first giveaway is sculpted by Jeff Yeager. Not that we ever say his name on here. And it's from Monsters from the Woods. And you will get a casting of the Mr. Hyde quarter scale bust. And I have to say, John sent me the mold for this to cast a few of them up. And I hadn't bought one. And he sent me a base and said, just cast yourself one, which I did. And this thing is really nice. It is really a nice bust. So he sent me another base and said, give one away. So I will cast up a Mr. Hyde.
Thank you, John Deary. Thank you very much.
John Deary, Monsters from the Woods. You can catch him on Facebook as well. And we just talked about the Mummy he released, I think, 2 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Seen some really nice paint jobs on that too that I should have did actually. But and he's got that Curse of the Werewolf. I know the mold is done and on the way to him.
Oh,
and,
let's put that picture up.
And and that's got a lot of miles logged on that bus, that's for sure. So
that's good that that's finally coming out.
So that'll be coming out. And thank you again, John Deary.
The second giveaway we have comes from, and there's paperwork involved in this one. So a while back, Heng, I hope I'm saying that correctly, Heng is short for Henry or Henri in Luxembourg. And I never thought in a million years that doing this stupid podcast that somebody from Luxembourg would send us a kit to give away, let alone watch this show and feel the need to even reach out to it. So Heng Hilger, thank you so much for sending what you sent. This cost you a pretty penny to get here. And it is a really cool Thor kit. And I'm going to put some pictures up that he sent along with it. This was his first kit that he ever made. Now, he speaks Luxembourgish, I found out. And he kind of...
Is that a language or is that German?
It is not German. And I'm going to edit that out because it is not German. Luxembourgish is different than German.
Hey, whoa. Easy.
So he goes, most people think we're from Germany. So no. All right. So I'm going to read kind of what he said.
You read Luxembourg?
No, he sent it in English. So I don't speak Luxembourgish. He's much better at English than I am, I think. So anyway,
my dog is better at English.
I know. That's why I knew you were coming. So I made with Thor, my very first 1/6 scale kit. I'm in a crazy club of builders. So often I produce kits on demand. If there are 30 to 50 that come together, I'll go. The club is dying, but he loves producing, etc. So he made a kit. And this first one that he made was this Thor kit. After 2 years of creating Thor, I wasn't able to cast myself. So I was looking for external casting. Well, here in Europe, garage kits are not the thing. So I found a professional in Paris. He was willing to do the 1/24 and the 1/6 scale kit. My thought mini was metal. So he made this kit. He's not happy with the engineering. He's working on it. He's going to come back out in a bust maybe, but he has a bunch of these left over as well. If you're interested in getting this kit on your own, after we give this one away, you can contact Heng Hilger, and I'll put it up in the information below. He's on Facebook, or I'll put his email up as well. But I think it's easier to get a hold of him on Facebook. He has some other really cool stuff coming out. I'll throw some of these pictures up as well. He's making an offer. He said, let's make Thor 120, including shipping, valuable for 1 month after the announcement with the code word Luxembourg. So if you tell him Luxembourg and you saw this on Model Club TV, 120 shipped for this kit is pretty cool. So real quick, just to get an idea how big it actually is, this is the cape. Okay, and I don't want to unwrap all the pieces. Okay, there's the cape. Solid resin.
It's heavy. Jason stopped by my house with this, and he was so excited to show me. And it's heavy. This is a big chunk of resin here that this gentleman sent us, and we really, really appreciate it.
So there's the body. I mean, this is solid resin, and it's a really cool weird color that normally it wouldn't do that. But I think I guess some of the problems they were having was the way the kit's engineered, which I could see that's a weird seam to take care of. But this is a great Thor kit. And if you're really interested in it, again, Heng Hilger on Facebook. And there's 22 parts to this kit. And I couldn't be more blown away that someone would send this to us. So thank you so much, Heng. And wow. Now, how do we give this stuff away? For the Thor, this is only North American people, because we don't want to send it back across the pond. If Heng has them for sale over there, it's a lot cheaper for them to get to you that way. So please, if you're over here in the States, Canada, if Canada's, yeah. So please only enter for the Thor kit if you're over here in the States. In the comments below, favorite comic book character or your favorite Thor moment from a movie or a comic, put it in there and just say Thor, and we'll get you entered for the Thor kit.
Or if you just want to say you're a fine Norwegian like me,
yes, fine Norwegian,
we'll also put you in.
So the whole list of facts he sent us about Luxembourg, I'm going to save for emails. So, all right, comments below, favorite Thor thing or anything, comments get you into the Thor contest. Scott, for yours?
For the Mr. Hyde bust, you have to comment below which of us is Dr. Jekyll and which of us is Mr. Hyde.
That's pretty good.
And you will automatically be entered.
If you want to be in both, just put both in one of those.
Yeah, or leave 2 comments.
Leave 2 comments and make it more work for me. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, please. Well, again, relinquish some control, freak.
All right. The Workbench.
Dun, 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 dun.
No, you're supposed to usually do the...
I didn't do my news and reviews.
You didn't. You didn't.
Well,
you let us down.
You got a lot of order.
Here's all the pictures of my workbench this episode. I actually have painted something. Bronzed. I'll put the pictures there. And there is tons of sanding stuff going on my other bench. That's what I've noticed about 3D printing. There is a lot of sanding. And it's like constant white dust over there.
So is that one kit you have there the one you got from Ed Bradley?
On my desk, yeah. Right here.
Next to the whatchamacallit? Castle Marais.
Right here.
Yes.
Yep.
So I remember you had broke apart. Did you print it and fit it back in?
So I did. His arms. See, that's why his arm's gray.
Okay.
Yeah.
So another advantage to digital printing is, Jason, you damaged it or it came damaged?
It came damaged from Wonderfest. Somehow I lost a finger.
So rather than Ed print up another one and send it to Jason and eat the postage, he sent him the file for
just
the arm.
Yeah.
And Jason printed up the arm, and there you go.
Yeah, it was cool. It worked. So that's my workbench. I just sanding and painting a little bit. So this turned out really good, though. I'm happy with the way this darkness.
And that last picture shows it better, but it did come out really good. And,
looking pretty good.
That's
for my buddy Jim. He's gonna get that.
So what I've been doing and I won't waste a lot of time on it because I know you guys are all tired of seeing it. But our friend Jamie Sy printed this base for this Looney Tunes piece I'm doing. And so while I'm printing other things, I'll throw like an arm in here or whatever. But today I put the whole coyote back end in here. And I'm just slowly printing up the figures that go on this.
So for people who don't know, how many figures are in that?
Okay, so this was available on CG Trader to buy. I think it is 62 pieces when it's all said and done. And it's going to have...
That's a lot of pieces.
Yeah. It's going to have... Well, like, so the coyote himself, now he's under the anvil. The coyote himself is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces. So,
okay.
So we have the Roadrunner and Coyote, so that's 2. Bugs is 3. Marvin the Martian 4. Elmer Fudd 5. Daffy Duck, Tweety, Sylvester, Tasmanian Devil, and Porky Pig.
So about 10? Did I do that right?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, you did. So yeah, there's 10
figures. That's a lot of work. So question is,
yeah, Jamie saved me a ton of resin by filament printing this base. And what's funny is when I gave him the file for the base, I said print it at 75%. And he's like, sure you don't want to go 100? And I'm like, no. And again, I'm going to show you this.
I told you I would have went 100.
But no, because these figures are getting huge. Okay. This thing is like as big as my head. All right.
Yeah, but just think how cool that would be.
It's still going to be cool.
100.
When you really look at it.
It's ginormous. You just finish it, walk into the kitchen, drop it on the kitchen table, and go.
This is the head for the Daffy Duck, and
that's a good size. It is.
That's a nice size.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's cool. My question to you though is: have you thought about painting it? Are you going to paint it, or just kind of bronze it like I cheated with the darkness?
You know, this thing looks really cool. I think I want to paint it.
Okay.
It would look cool bronzed, but it's just there's so much stuff going on. It's kind of almost a shame to bronze it.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It makes sense. So, you know, there's a lot of detail. Like this is the coyote, and you don't really even see this from the front, but this is his back end that is under the anvil, and just look at the claws, and you can see some of the support marks. Mm-hmm. But and also, and it's unfortunate you can't see it, but the way this printed, I can see it. Let me do it this way. See the light between the toes?
Yeah.
Look, the foot. Okay.
So as a caster, is that possible to cast that way? Ish, maybe.
Yeah, but eventually you'd lose your silicone in that little bit of a place. You might get a few of them to come out, but you know.
Yeah.
And then if you just look at just the well, like in this case, these are his knees, the little fur tufts. Okay. Yeah. And I'm trying to turn this around. Okay, and the nails. Okay. This is all stuff that as a caster is a pain in the ass. Okay. And if you were casting this, I'm sorry, I'm off. Like you'd almost have to cast this in separate pieces. The tail would have to be separate and everything. And this was all cast in just one piece.
Cool.
So that's coming along. And I'm still 3D printing. If you look at my Facebook page, you'll see that you know, I'm still printing cartoon characters, and we'll put the picture up here. One of the guys I buy stuff from just put out an adamant, and I love it. He's on the end of a pencil here, and at first I'm like, why is the big A textured? And then I realized it's a book, so it's like he's coming off of a book or whatever. But yeah, adamant. And, you know, I love my cartoon stuff.
Yeah.
But what I have done is I'm going to look right now in my 3D model wish list. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 things in my, but until I print what I have, I'm not buying any more.
I did the opposite. I signed up for 3 Patreons in the last day. So I'm $30 in, and I'm trying to download everything. As this show is going on, I just downloaded 17 gigs from the one Patreon for this month of files. There's a bunch of other stuff, and I haven't painted anything, and I'm just making a pile. So I'm dumb, but I feel like I'm going to miss out on something, which is, I think the downfall to 3D printing for me is it is so much like my video game collection. Whereas, and I think I mentioned this on the other app, like Steam. You don't know what this is because you don't have a PC that you play games on. So Steam is a platform where you can buy video games. And you play your games through there. And they have summer sale, they have a Christmas sale, and video games eventually drop down to being like $5. That used to be $50, or they're down to $1 when they were 10. And I just go, oh, I'll get that. I'll play that one day. I'm up to 500 video games on my computer on my Steam account that I've never even played. And now it's the same thing with STL files. I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'll get that. That's cool. I'll get that. And it's $5. It's $5. It's $10. It's $1. Like, it's free. Great. I'll take that. And today I was like, I need to go get an external hard drive just for STL files.
I never thought of that, but yeah. And
in case something happens.
Now I might buy one at a time, because the one gentleman's files that I've been buying, and I'll show this, and the hat's got a lot of dimples, but
yeah, dude, what is that? Oh my god, it's a pin cushion.
But that'll sand out easy. What people don't realize is that'll sand out. And this is a hard piece to print.
Yeah.
Okay, if you look at that hat.
Yeah, it's
okay. And I actually hollowed out
part of it.
Just the hat part, the cone part.
Yeah.
Okay. And like a dummy, because I'm not very smart sometimes. Okay. I actually should have printed it with the supports in here, because this is the part you don't see. And one of the things you do is when you 3D print, for those that don't know, so this is Speedy Gonzalez's head, right? Okay. And there's no supports here because they're all in the back.
Yeah.
So the idea is, if you can orient it to try to print it so when you do have supports, it's on the back. And I'm still learning supports, and but I look at this and say I can sand those out really quick. Okay.
I'm still learning other brands of resin, apparently, which has not been a fun week for me.
Apparently you're not learning.
No, I'm not. I don't know what's wrong, but
so I'm as a matter of fact, I can't wait to get done with this show, because I've got to print downstairs. I got to go see if it came out.
No wonder you're talking fast.
But so I'm almost done with that series of Looney Tunes characters until that gentleman puts out some more. And I have a few more from this other gentleman that just put out the Adamant. And I want to contact him, and if it's okay with him, I'll show his work next episode.
Okay.
Like we did Diego last episode.
What we should do?
Guys that do the best work, as far as I'm concerned, so far that I've seen.
Here's what we need to do. You are the people person of this outfit, and you know how to talk to people in person. On here, I'm great. In real life, I suck. You should see if you can get one of those sculptors to come on and talk to us. See if they'd come on. I'd love to have somebody on. So we'll see if that happens.
Right on it.
Okay.
And another thing I've noticed, and tell me if you've noticed this, and again, I don't want to get too deep into 3D printing, because I'm sure people are tired of hearing about it. But even, though I'm having a high level of success, 3D printing is kind of like a batting average, where like you're going to have fail. Like, 300 is a good batting average, which is really only 30% of the time. Now 3D printing is a little better, but I'd say 3D printing, if you get to 80 or 90%, you're doing pretty good. I
was at 99% for a little while there, and then trying out this new resin, I'm at 0 or 0.01.
And the point I'm about to get to is, so, and this is, I'm just going to show, this is the Daffy Duck body, and you see some nice detail on the shoulders and all that, right? This looks like he's got boobs though.
It does.
But
weird.
So the bad thing about this is sometimes with these pieces, and again, when you see stuff like these tufts of hair and stuff, and and sculptors have done this for years in the garage kid hobby. They don't sculpt with the caster in mind. Sometimes, okay, some do, but sometimes they just say, "Yeah, it's your problem. You worry about it."
Yeah.
Okay, and so I look at it and go, "Do you realize sometimes even with 3D printing, like the Speedy Gonzales and the Bugs Bunny have whiskers?" Okay, and I can't tell you how many times I've tried to print these frickin' whiskers, and they don't come out. They're too.
Or
thin.
it works, and then when you're sanding, they break because you pop them off on accident.
Now, I've been very careful with this little piece, and this is the Tweety that goes in Sylvester's hands. Okay, you see how small this is? Notice the supports are still on there because I wanted to be able to say, well, look at those hairs on the head.
Yep. Feathers.
Now, when I printed that, you see how I oriented that, right?
Yep.
Okay, so there were no
Nope, there you go.
Okay, yeah, let me get it where you can see it, though. There were no supports. For those that know about 3D printing, there were no supports. There might have been one small support on one of them that I carefully got off of there. But this isn't a safe place because I know the second I drop it, I'm going to break those fucking hairs off and have to reprint him. So he's in a nice, safe place for right now. But so it's one of those pluses of 3D printing, but one of those minuses of 3D printing too. And that is, if you do get something to come out like that.
My thing that I've found where people aren't thinking of the printer when they're sculpting is I find a ton of errors in the STL file, in the model itself, that make it impossible to print it after you've bought it or something. Like, oh, this is hollow when it's been a mess. Some of them have a lot of like problems with it. But Scott, we have our first guest workbencher. All that. And here it is.
Hobby Workbench.
All right, everybody, we're back for our first, we're trying this out, our guest workbench. We're going to come up with a better name. So put some ideas for that down below for this segment. Garry Buck, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I think the idea that we had too was Gary's got a lot of cool shit and we're going to show it. I don't know. It's in two waves, and it's all inspired by a lot of our heroes in what we do in the resin community, right? Like way back, like in the 80s and the 90s, like all those guys, the Gabe Pernas and Decays and the Naraswas and Creature Features back in Burbank going the first time. Mike Parks, God love him, right?
Yeah.
And all those great pieces. And I was really on the early part of it. And I remember the first Sideshow pieces, been inspired by that. And even before that, we all had back the Aurora days and all that shit. But listen, man, the resin community is a unique animal, and we know it. And some of those gems are hard to find anymore, right? They really, really are. And some of us have them, and we haven't been showing them. And I'm one of those guys.
Cool. So where are you first? Where are you at for everybody?
Well, right now I'm in my my studio in Three Rivers, Michigan, which is just south of Kalamazoo. And it's the oldest studio that I have. I have two studios, one here and one in Florida. And the Florida one, because I'm from Chicago, love Chicago, and I recently relocated down to Clearwater Beach during the
I think
pandemic.
that's everybody's dream, to go to Florida after Chicago.
Listen, it's got its pros and cons like everything else. But I was able to grab all my stuff finally in kind of in two spaces. I've had a couple homes and stashed away, and right, you have our boxes that we need to get open and just display the shit so you know what you got. So you can, like, one day you wake up, you're inspired to paint something or build something. And sometimes I have one or two pieces that I'm building at the same time. I don't paint for weeks. But I always have something going on, as we all do. Like, look at your space behind you. My God.
It's a mess.
But we love it being a mess.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm inspired by it.
My hero artist is Alexander Calder. And if you ever go and look at his studio, it's like how my brain is. And it's just stuff everywhere. And I just love seeing that kind of thing. Okay, show us what you got. Take us on a little tour. I
thought I would see if we can do it this way. I don't have like a handheld camera, but there's some really cool pieces here. I'll try this, see how that goes. Just, you see those pieces at all? Can you catch any of that?
I see an Eligor in there.
Right.
That's one of my favorites.
That Jack the Giant Killer was one of the first pieces I grabbed early on at Creature Features. Of course, everybody's crazy about the 1/6 scale time machine piece, which is really cool, right? Which is built very, very early on. Moving over here, if you see this is a really old piece I've never seen more than once, which is the Predator and the Throne.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Okay.
You see that?
Yep.
That's really vintage shit. The very early Alien pile, of course.
Yeah, I have one of those.
You know, the big wrap, of course, an original big wrap, not
excellent.
A
that's hard to find when you have an original. Somebody that has an
original one.
Yep.
I mean, you know, the Mike Parks pieces here. You know, these small little Mike Parks pieces, right? You got obviously the Sitting Hell. I always love the future pieces. Yep. I don't know how you guys seeing that. Okay?
Yep. We're seeing that one because now you're on an angle. That's the angle I was talking about. Like,
oh, there you go.
Yep.
Right.
I'm a huge future guy, so
huge.
Oh, I sold that kit once. The Horseman of the Apocalypse one.
Yeah, so that's Hogan's Bones, right?
Yeah,
Bob
I had
Bagey.
that and sold it.
Bob Bagey, man, love all of his pieces. I think I've tried to get every single one of his pieces possibly, including the Cathoga.
Yeah.
Right, you know, they're really early. Like that's the first series of the future. You know, Frankenstein and the Chains. You know, you got the future piece obviously there, and you got you know the Sitting Hell obviously, and when Janus first came out with their pieces, it's crazy, right? Okay, so that is what it is, right? Early piece of a place called Dark Carnival.
Yeah,
remember those guys, UK based guys, right?
Okay.
And this is a piece that actually I did that I went to Wonderfest with very early on. Always a really cool thing. I'm cruising over here a minute. These are some unfinished pieces. Another Mike Parks piece, the swamp thing, Mike Parks.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen that.
Have you ever seen that? So he did it as a shadow box. So, and here I lit it. I don't know if you see that.
Oh, you got to get closer. You got to get closer. Can you? Oh, wow. That's a really cool presentation. That's nice.
I don't think I've ever seen that Mike Parks.
Mike Parks shadow box. I think it's the only shadow box he ever did. Right.
Yeah, I know I haven't seen that before.
You know, and this, you know, of course, some of these pieces, a lot of guys have these pieces, but, you know, this is another really weird piece here. And here's what I got this as I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah.
Right. I got this as an award for when I submitted the Fat Frog robot to Terry and David. And it was showcased in AFM. And in addition, I won like second place or something out of it.
You're killing me, man. The two kits I regret selling, you just pointed out. I sold my Fat Frog and I sold that horse. Oh.
Right?
Yep.
This is another really cool piece here. I mean, the Moonslinger I haven't built yet. I mean, again, these are decades old, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, here's what I wanted to show you guys is this is a huge working animatronic war machine that I built 15 years ago. And it's really quite amazing to me. And I don't know how you can see it there. You see the size of it at all, right?
Oh, it's huge.
And what I'm going to do with this is it's been sitting here in this space for quite some time. I haven't seen too many guys do this, but it actually works if you want to spend a minute and see how it does it.
Sure, go ahead.
Come on, man.
That's awesome. That is really cool. How long did that take? Like, how long were you working on that?
The piece was really rough. It was a fiberglass shell. It was a kit at one time. And finding the guys that helped me animatronic it, and get it right was very tricky. And I found a guy to help me like go through the board and program it like that. And it works like that every time. It's really cool though. It is animatronic. The servo's dead on it right now. But it's pretty legit.
Yeah, I love that. That's awesome.
Everybody should have one in their bathroom.
I think so. Oh man!
All right, here's another piece I want to show you guys. We got a minute.
We got a minute.
I was telling David about this piece the other day because I'm confused on how to paint it, and the trick about it, and I'm not sure anybody has seen this before. I'm going to put you back over here on this table, and underneath it, you see this. This is. Let's try if this is any better here. Is that any better?
Yeah, that looks.
So, it is from Prometheus, from the
or from Alien even.
Yes, but it's really from Prometheus.
Okay.
Where what's really badass about it, and it's all silicone, is it opens.
Oh wow!
And it's his head.
Yeah.
Right. And so you know who Thomas Kubler is?
Thinks. Wait.
So he's done a lot of the like if you see like a Guillermo del Toro, like his home where he has all these freaks.
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
He's that guy I bought a couple of his pieces over the years, and I've never painted latex or silicone like this. Very tricky. Yeah, so it's like he gave me a couple links that I can share with you guys, and I'm going to try to start experimenting with it. But it kind of comes down to the strategy of you paint silicone with silicone. Right. Yeah. Right. Yep. And so this is my next workshop. This is on my table right now.
So that is an awesome work. You know what would be really cool? Document for that. Like document that. And then we'll just come back cool. and we'll keep checking in on you and tell us how you did it. Cause I'd love to know how to do silicone. I know Distortion does this latex one. He talks about how to do latex masks, but I haven't seen silicone one somewhere yet. So that'd be awesome.
And I don't even know, really cool. Like there's like grades of this shit too, right? It's like, there's like, like I don't know if it's like, if it can take acrylic or not. I don't think so. So I got to figure that out, Have you guys painted masks a lot at all?
I have not. I was seriously, I got a form right up there. I was going to start trying to do it.
Here's my friend, the engineer.
His head's almost as big as mine.
It's Gary with the engineer saying thank you to you guys.
Oh, that's awesome. Gary, this is great. And I love this idea. So we're going to keep doing this.
Yeah.
This is really, really cool. When you get down to your other place too.
I have a bunch of other crazy stuff too in my other place. And it's, it's a thrill to share it with anybody that really cares.
We know the feeling because most people don't give a shit in your family.
We do.
Yeah.
So the small group of people, we have a lot of talent, and it's hard to share it in the right way.
Yeah,
and we have a group, and it's cool to do, and I appreciate what you guys have been doing. I really do.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I get that. I'll go. I can hear her walking above me. I'll go up and show her, and she'll just give me like, "Oh, look at this! Look what I did!" And she's like, "Yeah." So
yeah, I'm going through that when I print something. I show the wife.
Same thing.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, but like it's a good idea to do like the tutorials, like like AFM does, where they have and those are hard to do. I mean, I've submitted a few of those, and they're really hard.
Man,
you get the right picture and the right wording in a small amount of space.
Yeah, it's better. That's the one, and well, that's the one good thing about it being digital now. The articles can be longer.
Yeah,
and you can get more in there, and you're not kind of nailing things down to just like 15 pictures.
I still like the sexy magazine though.
It is. I agree. Well, thank you, Gary. This is like seriously, thank you for reaching out because this is one of those things I kind of thought about, and we needed somebody to push us into it. So
anything I can do, man, I'll keep sending you some stuff, and you guys keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll have you on again when you're back in Florida.
Dude, when I'm telling you, man, I got some pretty cool, and recently, like, I've bought some things, and I know people haven't seen them live because they're really pricey and they're hard to get. Right? They go quick.
Yeah. Yep.
Some guys make 5 to 6 of these things. They're like crazy. And that's been the whole thing that our whole time doing this, that they vanish. And if you can get one early, it's magical for me.
Yeah. I agree.
I don't even play around anymore. If there's something out there I want,
correct.
I buy it because I know the day's going to come where I'm not going to be able to get it.
So hold on a minute. Speaking of that, I think Jeff Yeager just released the cover of the famous Monster magazine. I snatched it right away.
House of Blood. Yeah.
Yes. I bought it like that, dude. I woke up on Sunday morning, I saw it, and I just bought it. I said, you know what? That's gonna be rare in 1/4 scale with Peter Cushing's head on the silver platter. God bless Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh man, thanks, Gary.
Thanks, guys. Have a good weekend.
You too. All right. If you would like to be a guest on the Workbench segment, send us an email, and we'll just do a quick Zoom with you, record. Share your workbench. Show us what you're working on. We'll maybe do one an episode. So we'll reach out and try and figure out with you when we can schedule that and just do a quick 10 minutes.
Call it Viewers Workbench.
Viewers Workbench. Yeah, good idea.
Yeah,
we're building this plane as we're flying it. So
I'm an idea man.
Our guest this week, the Honorable George Stephenson. Judge George. We second returning guest, kind of, but a first official Model Club TV. Last time it was for WannaFest, and this time he came on talk about Blackheart and stuff coming around these days. And here it is. And we're back with George Stephenson. George, how are you tonight?
I'm doing fine. Good to see you, fellas.
Good to see you too. Busy year for you, huh?
Crazy. I'm supposed to be retired right now.
I was just going to say, I am sorry that you are not.
I was supposed to retire in March, but because of the pandemic, we have a huge backlog in the court. We also have a ton of new judges because we had a lot of retirements the last few years. And there are thousands of cases waiting for trial just in our district.
Yeah. And
it's a nightmare, but we're working through it. I just didn't feel like now was a good time for me to retire. I'm the second most senior judge in our district. And I just figured, I can stick it out another year.
Yeah.
It has not been fun. I can tell you that.
No, it hasn't. And I'm kind of in the same boat. I just found out I'm tied for senior teacher in my building, which is bizarre to me. Thank you for all you do and, for real world stuff and for this hobby. When we had you on last time, it was for WantaFest. So that was over a year ago. And we talked a lot about geometric and how that came about. But I do want to talk about the history of Blackheart, your new venture. Not so new anymore, but Blackheart, where did it come from?
So I sold geometric in 2003, summer of 2003, and basically was just done with the hobby. Trying to learn how to be a judge, manage that caseload and stuff. And in 2008, I kept in touch with Joe Simon, who sculpted a number of pieces for geometric. I kept in touch with Mark Brokaw, who did a lot of molding for geometric. And then my girlfriend, Claudia, all three of them started kind of hitting me up saying, hey, don't you miss doing this? Don't you miss making garage kits, resin kits? And Claudia would say, I never see you as happy talking about anything as when you're talking about, making monster models. And so that was at the end of 2008. In January of 2009, I had a conversation with Joe Simon and Mark Brokaw, and both of them were saying, man, you should get back in this. And I had just gotten, my daughter bought me a Santa Claus for Christmas. about a 12-inch Santa Claus, because I used to collect black Santa Clauses. But the one she got me wasn't black, it was white. And she said, you got to paint it. And so I got out my paint and I started painting it. And it was the first thing I had painted in a long time. And I had so much fun that when Joe Simon and Claudia and Mark Brokaw started pushing me about producing a kit, it kind of made me hungry to do that. And so I thought, you know what? I'm going to do what Geometric was supposed to do but never did do. And that is just be a small time hobby enterprise that'll just kind of, you know, produce stuff that I want for myself, and maybe there will be some other people that'll buy it. And so I won't lose any money. And so I decided to do it. And that's how Blackheart was born. That was January of 2009. And so I got Joe Simon to sculpt our first two pieces. And the other thing, I also collected African masks. And I had them, I got the room I'm in right now is about a 1,200 square foot room. It's my upstairs. And one wall was covered with African masks. And there was a pumpkin head mask in there. There's an actual pour from the original Pumpkinhead mold. And Mike Wochuk had painted it for me, and it was mixed in with the mask. And whenever people would come and look at my mask collection, they'd see Pumpkinhead. Go, what the heck is that? And so I always wanted to kind of get a couple of other monster faces in there. And so I decided, well, you know, maybe I'll make my own. And that's why I decided to do wall hangers. My girlfriend also had the idea that I should do it that way. And so that's where it came from.
Go big or go home.
I love that.
Go big or go home, right?
Right. So we did, Joe Simon did Mr. Hyde and Medusa. And in May of that year, 2009, we did Wonderfest. And people really liked them, but we didn't sell a whole lot because people weren't into stuff that big or that price. You know, they were almost $200. And people were intimidated to, you know, paint something that big and that expensive. They didn't think they could make them look good. And so we struggled for that first year. And I said, you know, we put out Mr. Hyde, we put out Medusa, let's put out a couple more. Let's do the Terminator and let's do the Thing. Let's see, you know, that's a nice little variety. Terminator's popular. Terminator was one of the worst sellers we had. I don't know, and I couldn't understand that because it was a pretty good sculpture. So we went to Wonderfest in 2010, and I hit Dan Jorgensen up. I said, "Hey, man, you know, you're doing an airbrushing class with Badger, right?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Have you decided what kit you're gonna do for your class?" I said, "Because if you haven't, why don't you use one of mine?" And he had already decided what they were going to do. And so we went back to the show. We did okay at the show, but after 2 years, I was like, "Man, this is stupid." What, I'm losing money here. It's not even paying for my hobby. And so I decided, well, let's give it one more year. And so in Wonderfest of 2011, we showed up with the Predator wall hang, and that was it. That was it. Boom. I was driving my dad's Cadillac because he had gotten ill, and he let me use his car, and he had a big Coupe de Ville. And so I was on the way to Wonderfest from St. Paul. We stopped in Elgin to pick up castings from Acme, and they gave us all these Predators. Claudia had Predators on her lap from Elgin to Louisville. We had about 20 of them.
I gotta pee. Just hold on, baby. Right. Hold on.
Exactly. But we had a great show. The Predator made all the difference. All of a sudden, people knew who we were. I'm trying to think.
The Curse of the Werewolf come in? Wasn't that in that time period too?
That was the next year.
That was the next one. Okay.
So the other thing, so Predator was big, but the other thing that was big was we got Dan Jorgensen to use 2 of our kits for their airbrushing class. They used the Thing and Mr. Hyde. And I think they had like 30 something people in the class. And those people got in there and had fun with it. It demystified the whole idea, you can't, painting something life size is a lot tougher. But it also got people turned on to airbrush. And so a lot of the people who took the class came over to our table and bought another one. Sometimes they bought 2.
Yeah.
So we had a really good show. And that's when things started really looking up for us. The next year, Jorgensen decided that they weren't going to do the class. And so Ken from Badger and I jumped in and we took it. And that was the next big step. Every show we went to for the next 3 or 4 years, we did an airbrushing class. And so we immediately had at least 20 sales through the class.
Mm-hmm.
And then people who came over after the class to buy another one. And that really turned things around for us. So that's how I got started.
The fact that it all starts with African masks warms my heart, because I like being born on Halloween. I collect masks as well. Anything like I don't have a giant wall, but I do have some of but Picasso was inspired by African masks as well. And so was George Stephenson. So yeah, a lot of his paintings, that's where those original, why he started moving things around. Because if you look at some of his paintings, they have like some of the triangle shapes and the dots and the patterns that a lot of those masks do. So the fact that you and Picasso were inspired by the same spot, it's a little crazy.
George Stephenson, the Picasso of the garage.
Hey, that's where we are.
Listen, I couldn't draw a potato. What are you talking about?
You could.
He's going from the Godfather to the Picasso.
So that's really cool. I love to hear backstories like that. You're one of the only people that I see at other shows besides Wonderfest. And I want to commend you for that, because, and not like I have a place to commend people, but it also warms my heart to know that you're reaching out to everyone, and to see you at Adepticon, to see you at MaskFest, to see you at other places that some of these guys never go to show them garage kits, right? How have you been received at some of those other shows? I know sometimes it's not great, but there has to be at least one person that was there was like, oh my God, and G-Fest as well, to be like, hey, this stuff's really cool. I never knew this existed. Do you have any stories like that, or is it just kind of like that stuff sucks, we don't want to even bother?
No, people dig it. Now, they don't all, if those miniature shows that are not garage kit shows, we may not sell as many of the life-size pieces. But now that we're doing the Micromania line, we sell a lot of that stuff. And so that makes those shows good for us. The Micromania thing, were you at, what was the big show downtown Chicago about 4
Yeah,
5
we
years
were,
ago?
The Hobby Expo.
No, it was the World Miniature,
World
Figure something. Hobby Expo?
Yeah. So that was the show where we first did small scale busts. We went there, I think we had 4. We had the 4 generic monsters: the werewolf, Frankenstein's monster, the vampire, and the mummy. And we went there because I knew that wasn't going to be a show where people were going to buy the big stuff. I don't think we sold any of the big stuff, but we sold a ton of those little guys. And it was kind of funny because people would walk by the table and they go, wow, that's pretty cool. How much is that? $25? Here, let me get a couple of those.
Yeah.
And it was that way all weekend. It was really cool. And then we decided, you know what? Our big stuff is too expensive and too intimidating still for some people. So, and kids, young people aren't going to be able to spend $200, $250 on our stuff. So let's have some cheap stuff, $20 to $30. And so that's when we started the Micromania line of busts. And eventually I got in touch with Al, the current owner of Geometric. And I said, hey man, you haven't done that. I said, are you still in business? And he was like, yeah. Well, the fire, blah, blah, blah. I'm fighting with the insurance company, blah, blah, blah. I intend to come back, next year. I said, do you intend to do anything with the Micromania figures, that line? And he said, no, we never did any business with those. I said, then you won't have any problem with me picking those up? And he said, go ahead, you do whatever you want. I said, because, there are royalties due, and I paid one of the sculptors royalties because, he was hot about not getting royalties, and he thought we were still selling them. And so he said, no, go ahead, do your thing. And so I decided to do the first 6 that we produced of that Micromania figure line, figuring I'm going to slowly start adding to it. And so we've been doing that now. But those things have done really well. I noticed that we're the only vendor that's doing miniatures of movie monsters.
Which is shocking to me.
Yeah, I know. And so, that has been really good. And now when we go to shows, one of the cool things that happened was people who bought the small stuff, they'd start buying a lot of them. And then after a while, they were like, you know what, I want to try one of these big ones. And so we'd start getting some of those folks, some of the miniaturists buying the bigger stuff. So it's been good.
Well, that's not surprising to me because that's my path.
Mm-hmm.
You were from down here. I used to go to Don's Hobby World every day.
Yep.
And buy miniatures. And eventually I saw Screaming in Geometric, model kits in his shop. And I was like, these are pretty cool. I could try and paint those. And I think a lot of people are on that path now. For those people, producers, that you're shocked that don't sell miniatures or even think about it, could you explain to them, and maybe coming from me, it doesn't have as much weight, but coming from you, could you explain to them how many people are at Adepticon? Like the size of that show?
So, as I understand it, a big show, a well-attended show at Wonderfest is about 4,000 people. Adepticon is like 8,000.
Yeah, double, if not more.
Yeah,
I would say.
Gen Con in Indianapolis is 60,000.
Yep.
So, and those folks, the folks who are doing the miniatures, are a lot more social because a lot of them came from gaming, and so that gaming isn't something you do by yourself. You do that with your friends. You're playing with stuff with other people.
Yeah.
That's not the case with garage kits. We're all kind of hunkered down. And I joke about how, garage people ask me, well, how was COVID to your business? And I'm like, man, we've been self-isolating as garage kit folks since we picked up a paintbrush.
It has been a dream for me, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Right. It's funny that you asked that though, Jason, because for some reason, a post from about 39 weeks ago, so a little bit less than a year ago, popped up on my Facebook feed. And it was the one where somebody said the hobby is dying. And you chimed in and said, no, it's not. And you start talking about miniatures. And right after your comment, I said, I totally agree with Jason.
Mark that down, that we agreed on something.
Yes.
Agreed. It is.
Yeah. So, but that's not the first time we agreed on it.
No, it's
you
not.
and I talked about that before.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm always trying to make sure that I don't get behind the curve. And so the first miniature show I went to was ReaperCon in Dallas. And I don't remember how many years ago. That might have been 7 or 8 years ago. And it was just a completely different experience than any show that I had been to. It was funny, so I'm there with Ken from Badger. We had a booth together. And the thing opened up, it was a Friday. It opened up at 10 o'clock Friday morning. And when they opened the doors, all these people came in, and they had suitcases and backpacks and satchels and boxes. And I'm like, what the heck is going on? And in the middle of this huge hall were all these tables. You could probably fit 6 or 8 people at a table, and there must have been, I want to say 6 or 7 dozen tables. Okay, probably more than that even. And people would go. They came in, they sat down, they started unpacking their stuff, and it was paints, it was paintbrushes, it was miniatures, it was diorama materials, landscape materials, and they sat there all weekend, hanging out with their friends, painting and building stuff.
Yeah,
I thought, wow, that is really cool, really cool.
You guys will both remember this, and Scott, I'm sure you will too. Wonderfest kind of was like that a long time ago. There was always like an after hours little group down by the pool that would kind of build and paint and hang out and talk. And that doesn't happen anymore. But you're right. Those Reaper people they're into their Reaper models. When they do their kits, they are like, they love it. And that's even same with Adepticon. There's a painting area where everyone just packs their stuff up and sits there. And I don't know. Maybe that's something we need to work on for Wonderfest. That's an idea I got now.
Reaper would fly artists in to do demos. And, that room that I was talking about where you had all the big round tables in the middle, the whole perimeter of the room, there were tables. And they had, on one whole side of the room, there are all these tables with artists that are well known to the miniaturists. And those artists would sit there all weekend and paint, and people would come up and ask questions. And they'd show them techniques. It was just really cool. Yeah. And so, and some of those are the same guys who are at Adepticon. Yeah. So they're a lot more social. And so I have found that has been really good for business too. And word gets around. These people are active. They're all over social media. A lot of them are younger than we are.
Right. So exactly. Yep.
So
they are what is going to keep us going.
Yeah, I remember after going to that hobby expo, the level of work I saw, the paint and the level of work I saw, and I came back and I kind of on the clubhouse, I think it was, I challenged the garage kit community to get better because the work these guys do blows 80% of us away. Okay. Yeah. And man, some guys got really up in arms about that and got upset about it. And I was like, hey, I didn't mean any disrespect to anybody, but it's like, let's bring it up a level. Let's, and I've also, preached forever. And I know Jason has, and we both talked to Terry about it. These people need to get into where we are because, so like you said, they get into where we are and they may say, "Ooh, 1/6 scale, man, that's big, but I wouldn't mind buying that." And by the same token, right now you're the only one that's selling small stuff. And you don't see any of that stuff at Wonderfest. Even historical figures, I think, would sell. I don't know how they do for you. I know you did that set with Joe Lewis and Jackie Robinson, and Jesse Owens. I don't know how well that sold for you, but I thought that's a great idea.
Yeah, it has not sold real well, but that's okay.
No, but still, it's going to be hit or miss.
But you did it right. It's something you've always wanted to see, right? And I've talked about this before. Someone else did it. It's something you've wanted to see as a kid, and that stuff has every right to be there, I think. Mm-hmm. And I just, people love their aliens and predators. And I think some of those other guys on the other side of the world, the historical people, would love that stuff when they see it, and they just need to see it more of it. I think. Scott, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
Oh, that's all right. It's not the first time.
We are gonna do some more stuff like that.
Cool.
Because one of the things I learned with geometric even was, you may not have a hit the first time you do something or the second time. But when it becomes a collection, when it starts becoming a line, you'll see that the first 2 start selling a lot better because people like collections. And so we're going to do some more of those historical pieces. I've been trying to figure out who, but I know there are boxing fans who are really into the hobby. And I loved boxing.
I grew up watching boxing all the time with my dad.
Roberto Duran.
Yeah.
I love to do a Muhammad Ali,
Marvin.
I was going to say Hagler. I loved Hagler.
Do a Spinks. Man.
Hagler just looked like
Dude,
a
if he
boxer. I mean, it was like he was just perfect, man.
Do a George Foreman. Like if you,
Yeah.
dude, if you tapped into boxers,
Oh
Sugar Ray
yeah.
Leonard, you know.
Bill
I'm not
Frazier.
even kidding. Have I told this story about the Mike Tyson loss ever? It's one of my favorite childhood memories, and my parents don't watch this show because they think I'm an idiot. But one of my favorite childhood memories is I remember us all sitting around. My dad watches boxing still, Showtime all the time. Saturday nights we would watch boxing with my dad, and when I get into it, I like it. But when Tyson Douglas,
Buster
like,
Douglas.
Tyson versus Buster Douglas, when he started to lose, like the whole family was like standing up and like standing. And then when he finally got knocked down, I remember my mom just like jumping up and cheering for Buster Douglas. Like it was the greatest thing. And like, even to this day, like I love that story. That's a sport that gets no love. Like it's all turned into like UFC, all that stuff. But boxing, like still.
Do you still follow boxing?
Yeah, on and off. I'll still watch once in a while. It's
He's
tough
more
for me
of
to
a
foster.
World Wrestling Federation guy.
No, I'm an AEW person now.
Whatever. It's all the same crap.
If you do more boxers, please do a butterbean for us fat bald white guys.
Butterbean?
Yeah, please do a butterbean. Just for me. Oh man. Okay, with Blackheart, what do you got new coming out that people need to see?
Well, I sent you guys some images. So we are adding 4 kits to 4 busts to our Micromania line, the historical line. Right now, that line consists of Vlad the Impaler, Genghis Khan, Geronimo, and Hannibal of Carthage. A few months ago, just before Wonderfest, we added Eric the Red. And now these next 3 are Shaka Zulu, Nobunaga, who is the samurai who united Japan in the 1500s. And Joe Simon is just finishing up a Mayan priest. And it's pretty cool.
Okay. I want to see that.
So I want to add another 4 so that we have 12 of them before the next Wonderfest.
Cool.
Those have done pretty well. The historical ones have done pretty well for us, and I really like that stuff. So
yeah, you could do a lot with a Mayan priest. That has my brain going.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. We have. I decided about a year ago that in 2021 I was going to commit to our Micromania line of figures and busts, and so really kind of put stuff in there. And so, we talked a little bit earlier about scanning. We have some of the old geometric figures that we have scanned, and we're going to be releasing some of those as Micromania 4-inch figures.
Oh, cool.
I also want to get into more hardware. We produced our first hardware kit, the pod, the planetary orbital drone concept piece based on the first Predator movie.
Mm-hmm.
You never saw it in the film, but somehow the Predator landed on Earth. They never found a ship or a transport vehicle to get him here. All you saw at the beginning of the film was the Predator ship, the mothership, shooting off to the left. You hear poof, you see a white light go shooting out from the ship. It goes through the Earth's atmosphere and it disappears. He didn't just jump. Somehow he got here. And so
that's a pretty good parachute.
In the 1990s, when I was still doing geometric, I approached Steve Wang about designing the pod for us. And I talked to him about my ideas. He's jazzed to do it. And so he did. He gave us 6 sketches, and they're awesome. And but my partner at the time didn't want to do it. The business, this was like 1997. Hobby industry was starting to change.
Yeah.
We were losing some distributors, hobby stores. And so we didn't do it. And it would have been a bear to do it because we didn't have digital stuff. So I just kind of put the sketches away until, what year was it? 2016, maybe. I pulled them out I thought I had lost him and I was freaking out, and then I found him in a file cabinet, and I sent him to Daniele Angelosi, who is a digital artist over in Italy, fantastic artist. And I said, hey man, have you ever done any hardware? He said, no. I said, but you can do this, can't you? And I sent him to him. He was like, wow, that looks like something from Predator. I said, that's exactly right. So he's a big Predator fan. And so he jumped all over it. And he did it digitally. We had it printed, produced in China. I sent Steve Wang the digital images. It blew his mind. His response when he got it was, God, George, I'm so glad you remembered this. I always wondered if this would ever be produced as a kit. He was just pumped.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was our first hardware kit. I want to do more. I wasn't the biggest Star Trek fan, a fan of the original series. It was okay. I was kind of thought it was
Oh, look what you did. Look what you did.
But next
don't mean it, Bill. Billy, don't mean it. Okay, sorry.
But I became a big fan of the Next Generation. I just love that show. And so I decided that I wanted to do a shuttle, a Star Trek shuttle. That would be our next hardware kit. And so when you'll be, I assume you'll be showing images.
Yeah.
My sister is a huge Trek fan, starting with the original series. So was Claudia, my significant other. And so I decided to do this shuttle and to honor Nichelle Nichols by naming the shuttle Uhura. And so it's being printed right now.
Cool.
And we'll have some accessories that I don't want to talk about here, but the shuttle will come with a 4-inch figure, it's in scale, of Admiral Uhura.
Yeah.
She's like 80 years old, and she's being honored with this shuttle being christened and commissioned in her name. And so that's our
awesome.
second hardware kit. Yeah. So.
And this is all an original design. It's not from anything that's ever been seen in Star Trek.
Right, but when you look at it, if you've seen the Star Trek, the shuttles in the movies or in the shows,
mm-hmm.
It's clearly recognizable.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh yes, absolutely.
But we did some different things to it. There are cannons on it. There are a couple of phaser cannons, and you never see that on the other ships or even on the shuttles. There will be weapons racks inside. So this is more of a fighting ship.
Yeah.
So when we're not recording, I'll tell you a little bit more about what I have in mind with that.
All right. We get secret info. Look at that.
Yeah, these are really aimed at folks who want to do dioramas.
Hey, real quick, George, I want to go back to the Shaka Zulu. And so you did the Shaka Zulu, and you sent me a photo of the statue. And I know we talked off camera a little bit, but could you just give that story real briefly to everyone about where this idea came from and all that?
Sure. Shaka was the king of the Zulu nation. I think, as I recall, he united the Zulus, and they ended up basically driving the British out of the territory where the Zulus lived. And he was the king. He was the leader of the Zulu when that happened. There was a movie made, I'm pretty sure it was in the 60s, might have been in the early 70s, Shaka Zulu. And when I talked to Joe Simon about, obviously this was in the 17th or 1800s. It's been early 1800s, late 1700s. So there wouldn't be any photos. And really there aren't even any real paintings of him, that were contemporaneous to his life. And so I told Joe, well, there's this movie, check, I'll send you the reference material, but I'm not interested in you doing an exact likeness of the actor. Just, do your thing. But here's the statue. They made statues, memorializing or commemorating Shaka, but they used the actor. They made all the statues the likeness of the actor. And I say, we don't have to do that, but use the, the accessories, the clothing that he's wearing. And so that's what we did. So
it turned out great. It looks really, really good. And that's your paint job, right?
Yeah, it was a fun piece to paint. I just did it yesterday. I started yesterday morning and finished it this evening. So
Nice.
fun.
That's so fun to like just finish something in a day like that.
Yeah, and that's another good thing about doing the little stuff, particularly the bus. You know, you can knock those out in a day and a half. You know, and feel like you get over a weekend easily. You got something done.
Although I can contradict this. I started painting this last episode and I haven't. You're Godzilla, and I haven't touched it since because I've been so busy.
Do you get a lot of it? And you know, and this is kind of goes back to one of our first episodes, the bus debate. You get a lot of, oh, why don't you do a whole figure of that or a full figure of that? I mean, do you get a lot of that? Because I know a lot of people still are really anti-bust.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Okay. Well, I'd just rather have the whole model, you know, type of thing. And there's not a right or wrong, but it's wondering if you get a lot of that.
I don't, not so much people asking if we do it, but people say, man, I wish you had done that as a full figure, because that's what I'm into. And the fact is, when I started geometric, I was into figures. I didn't care for busts at all until, geez, probably 7 or 8 years into doing geometric, we came out with a bunch of busts, and geez, did they do well.
I was gonna say you were one of the first people that did it, right? Like, who was doing busts before geometric? Nobody.
Danny Sirocco.
Yeah,
I think he started his 1/4 scale line, you know, dimensional designs about the same time we did, and it was striking how similar they were, and so people confused us, which was cool. I mean, I was like, hey, great. Maybe if they buy Danny's, you know, they'll have fun with it and they'll come looking for something else, and vice versa.
I've been trying to get Danny to come on, and he won't come on.
Really?
Yeah, beg him for us.
Yeah, calm a storyteller, man.
He's a character, man. He's cool, but he's a character.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, he is.
He'll see that. He watches every episode. So.
Does he?
Yep.
All right, cool. Hey, fat ass.
There you go.
Join these guys and watch your language.
Yes. Nah, you don't have to do that. He can swear.
No swearing, damn it. This is a family show.
All right, George, this pumpkin head. Tell us about this pumpkin head.
Yeah, so that was another one by Danielle Angelosi.
This thing's gorgeous.
Yeah. You know, Pumpkinhead is my favorite monster design of all time. And
can I stop you there? Can you tell me why? Tell me why. Why is Pumpkinhead your favorite?
When I went and saw that movie in the theater. Mm-hmm. And I sat there trying to figure out how the heck did they do that? Because they didn't have digital.
Right.
So it was practical. How did they do it? And it just mystified me until I decided to go for the license. Geometric went for the license. And we got a lot of reference material from Alec Gillis and Tom Woodruff Jr. From Stan Winston's. Mm-hmm. And they sent me this video, this behind-the-scenes video that is now on the Pumpkinhead Blu-ray disc.
Okay. But
they sent me a video. I mean, you know, like a cassette to VHS cassette tape, and it had them. It was like a home movie, and it showed how they were designing it, how they came up with the design, how they put the actor in the suit. And when I saw that, I was like, these guys are geniuses. It's just amazing that they could do it. I mean, they did everything. They had him on stilts.
Yep.
Radio controls for his lips, for his eyes.
Yep.
They had cables for his hands. And then those two things on his shoulder, they had cables, wires to help him balance. And I was like, wow, that's just fantastic. And that's why he's my favorite monster.
Yeah, you're right. Everything is, yep.
Yeah. We talked off camera how you said special effects guys are like problem solvers.
Yes.
So that had to be really cool for you to see that.
Yeah. So if you look at what Blackheart has done and is doing and will do, if you look at what Geometric Design did, that'll kind of give you somewhat of a roadmap to what Blackheart is doing and will do.
Mm-hmm. Is there a Tremors kit coming?
Oh God! And I was just thinking that.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, there
really?
is. Yeah. Oh yeah. for sure.
Oh, cool.
Behind his head. Do you see behind his head?
It's right
Oh yeah,
there.
yeah. That's one of my favorite geometric kits.
Yeah, mine too. That's why I haven't built it yet.
My plan is to do a Tremors and Micromania scale, so the figures will be 4 inches tall.
That'd be cool.
And so, so that's what I want to do within the next 2 years. I've kicked around the idea of doing it. Some of the stuff that I want to do, I'm going to wait until I retire next March.
Cool.
And then that'll open things up. I'll have more time to do that kind of stuff. But for sure, we'll be doing a Tremors.
Okay, I interrupted. Back to the actual Pumpkinhead kit.
George, I'm Pumpkinhead ignorant, so let me ask a quick question.
Oh no, here we go.
Go ahead.
Well, no, because I just noticed. So there's 2 different facial expressions on these photos you sent us.
No, it's 2 different faces.
2 different faces completely. Okay, see, I'm Pumpkinhead ignorant.
Have you ever watched the movie?
No, George, I
Are you serious?
He
George,
has not
if you
seen
watch this show,
anything.
you'd realize modern horror. I've hardly watched any.
It's not modern horror.
It's 30 years ago.
Oh man,
Don't
George and I
shame
said the
me, George.
exact same thing at the same time.
George, we've known each other 30 years. George, don't shame me, George. Don't shame me.
So, tell them why there's 2 different faces.
So the story is that this guy's son gets killed, and he wants to get revenge. So Pumpkinhead is the demon of vengeance, and the guy goes to this witch out in the woods, and she does this incantation and brings this demon to life. As the demon carries out vengeance, and every time he does it, the man who Lance Henriksen, the man who had the witch summon the demon, experiences it. He actually sees it and feels what the demon is feeling. All right. But he also starts to change the monster, the demon. And it starts at the end to take on his face. And so the one face that might look a little bit unfamiliar, that's Lance Henriksen's face, mixed in with Pumpkinhead. That they look like in the movie.
See, has anyone done that ever? No. That's why I think that's really cool.
So this will come with 2 heads?
Or
we don't know yet.
Or you choose. Maybe choose.
I thought about choosing because it's an expensive kit, and those heads are big. I mean, those heads are like this big. Okay.
Yeah.
But I kind of think, I was talking to Brokaw because he's making the molds, and he said, what you ought to do, just make he said the thing is engineered so that head will pop off. You won't need to glue it. So people switch back and forth. So what you ought to do, he said, is make a little base for the head that's not being used. Just some little base that sits on the side. And I'm like, that's a great idea. So that's what we do, I think.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. This Exorcist piece. Tell us about this.
So,
please don't ask if I've seen this movie, George. Please don't ask.
I won't. Obviously, you haven't. If you haven't seen Pumpkinhead, you haven't seen The Exorcist because you're.
I've been shamed about The Exorcist about 10 times.
The next one too. You got to ask that question. So.
Oh, whatever. Okay.
So there's an artist named David Seidman who did a poster. Some guy commissioned him to do an original poster for The Exorcist, and I saw that poster, and I had always said, "There's no way I'm going to do an Exorcist because that's just too frightening, and I wouldn't want something like that hanging on my wall." But when I saw this thing, I was like, "Wow, now that's it right there. That's the one that I would do." So I contacted the artist and made a proposal to him. There was another producer who also contacted him at the same time, made a proposal to him. That other producer is somebody who's a friend of mine who also uses Danielle Angelosi to do sculpting. And we both, when we talk, we say, well, whichever one of us gets it, we know who's going to sculpt it. So, and I ended up getting it. So Danielle and I kind of worked through the poster. Obviously, is 2-dimensional, so you don't see anything on the back. There's also no Bible in the poster. We have it. The crucifix is rising up out of a Bible, and then on the back are some of the script from the movie where Father Karras is doing the exorcism. So there are some lines of script on the back of the film. So it's designed to be a 360, so you can turn around, you can see the script, or to hang on the wall if you're not interested in the script.
I'm going to try and say this in a nice way.
Amazing piece.
I got to say this in a nice way.
Oh boy.
Thank you for reaching out to the artist and not just doing it.
Oh.
You know, like, because there's a lot of people that might just go, oh, that's cool. I'm going to pay a guy to sculpt that and just put it out. But I think it's very honorable to actually reach out to that artist and get them involved. Because I know if I was that guy and then I saw it 3-dimensionally later on,
oh yeah,
I'd be like, what the hell? But I mean, that's really cool that you actually did that. So please, thank you for that.
Let me tell you that there have been several times where I've reached out to artists and said, hey, this thing that you did, I'd love to make that into a kit for my company. Would you be interested? And lots of times they're like, I don't, I did this, it was a commission for somebody else, so I really couldn't do it, that kind of deal, or they just didn't respond. So otherwise, there'd be a few other things hanging on the wall.
Yeah. The Shin Godzilla that Scott didn't see that movie either.
But I kind of want to see that one.
I
do kind of want to see that.
Fantastic. You have
It's
to.
gross. It's gross.
It's gross, but fantastic.
Yeah. There's a story behind that one, kind of a sad story. Gabriel Marquez, who died sometime in the last 6 months, I commissioned him to do a 1/2 scale sculpture of Amy from Fright Night. And he had sculpted for Geometric back in the day, a couple of pieces. And so we commissioned him to do Amy. He just couldn't get it done because he was sick. He had cancer. I didn't know that. And it was just eating him up. And so he couldn't get her done. And so I just said, hey, man, he felt really bad about it. I said, don't worry about it. How about if I let you do some little pieces for me, some Micromania pieces? And he said he'd do them. But by then he was still really sick, maybe even worse. And he just, couldn't really nail them the way I wanted him to nail them. So I said, Gabriel, don't worry about it. I had paid him, money. And then I said, what are you going to do? You're going to ask a guy who's dying?
Yeah.
Give you, so I just kind of wrote it off. And then he contacted me probably in January or February and said, hey, man, listen, I feel bad about not being able to come through for you on this other stuff. Give me another chance. I said, Gabriel, don't worry about it. He said, no, really, I want you to give me another chance. He said, let me do a Godzilla. He said, I see you got a little Micromania Shin. Let me do a big one, a wall hanger. And I was like, man, I was really doubtful that he could do it. But he kind of tugged at my heartstrings. And I said, go ahead. I said, kill it for me. Man, he did. He did. He didn't even get to see it produced. He died just before Wonderfest.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but he did
Everybody
it.
that knew Gabe, he was a nice guy. He was a lot of fun. He was a good guy.
Yep. Really nice guy. Really good artist.
Oh yeah. When
he was on, wow. He just.
Yeah.
And he was on with Shin. He really did a great job. There's so much detail.
Right.
I had that molded here in town, and when I got the castings, I was packing them up for Wonderfest. That thing drew blood. No, I'm serious.
Good.
I picked up one of the pieces, and it punched a hole in my finger, and I was bleeding all over the place.
Oh, man.
I couldn't believe it. Hurt like hell.
Yeah. I wonder who's got that special George Stephenson blood edition.
So is it technically the last thing Gabe did?
I think it might have been.
It might have been.
Yeah.
Wow.
I didn't know he was dying.
Yeah.
I knew he was sick, but I had the impression that, a lot of what was taking him down was the chemo, and that was just kind of making it hard for him to work.
Yeah.
So I was very surprised when I saw on Facebook that he had passed. I was just stunned. I just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's an amazing sculpture. So it's
and
it's right up there.
We're showing Paul Gill's paint job right now, who I thought did a nice job on this. We actually showed it in our last episode, but and at the end in the users gallery or readers watchers gallery, whatever we call it, we'll have some more photos as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
He did. And then the last thing you sent us a photo of is and I know I saw this at Wonderfest, is the Frankenstein versus the Wolfman scene. Micromania. So, sculpted by our good friend and loyal listener, Phil Kupka.
Well, yeah, he did the base.
Or the base. He did the base, not the figures, but the base, yes.
Matthew Lawrence did the lab equipment and produced the LEDs to light up that equipment. And Tim Bruckner sculpted the monster and Wolfman. And then Joe Simon did Dr. Mannering and Countess Frankenstein.
It's like a Mount Rushmore of producers of artists that got on there. Like
everybody's in there.
Yeah,
everybody's in there. George, if you watch our Matt Lawrence episode, you'll find out Jason didn't know who Kenneth Strickfaden was, but he bust my ass about movies I didn't see. Okay, I'm just
really
yeah.
One guy. I didn't know who one guy was, but I knew the stuff. After the hundreds of things you haven't known.
Oh boy,
Matt is a character too, man.
Oh, yeah,
he is. He was a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's really into lights, man.
Oh yeah, he is. Yeah. Oh yeah.
I on our website, I haven't updated the Hardcore Modelers Manual on our website. I don't know if you guys have seen that. But
I have, yeah, because there was a Resin Police episode.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So there's one chapter called basically the lexicon, the hobby whisperers lexicon, and it's just about all kinds of different afflictions that garage kit hobbyists suffer from, and one of them is called megalomania. That's a person who insists on LEDs, outrageous numbers of LEDs in their dioramas.
Yeah,
and I think I don't think I published that one, but I actually called out Matt Lawrence. So
sounds about right. It sounds about right.
Megalomania.
Well, yeah, like some of the guys that they can't just build a kit, like Robert Trock we had on a couple episodes ago. Yeah, everything's like 10 by 10.
Oh yeah,
he's like a maniac, and and that was the spirit of the first contest, was to do stuff like that. And first couple of contests, actually, I think.
Yeah.
And that's still up in the air whether that's going to happen or not again.
Yeah, we'll see. Before we go, if you can narrow it down, your most memorable, most favorite kit you've ever produced, like, what is your this is me. This is my kit. If you had to show people what you do and you're like, this is the greatest thing I ever made, the thing I'm most proud of, which one is it? If you can do it. You can say you can't, but if you narrow it down to 2, 1, give us an idea.
I think I might be able to narrow it down to maybe 3 or 4. I mean, between Geometric and Blackheart, I'm sure we've produced well over 100 kits. I would say Trimmers is one. Fiend Without a Face is another. Angelique, our 1/2 scale android, is another. And probably the vinyl Predator that Geometric did. Cool. I would say those. Yeah,
I think that works.
Yeah, the Fiend Without a Face was special because that was one of the very first kits that Geometric did. We showed up at Chiller Theater with 3 kits: the Cyclops that Mike Parks had sculpted, the little Cyclops; Amy from Fright Night that Mike had sculpted; and then John Dennett had sculpted Fiend Without a Face. And The Fiend was the first kit that we actually physically produced, where we did the molds and poured the resin. And so that one was special, you know.
Yeah.
But Tremors, I loved that movie, and just John Dennett just nailed the design exactly the way I wanted it.
Yeah.
So can you elaborate why Phil Kupko is not allowed to pour vinyl?
He did.
Yeah, he said, what did he say? He says, yeah, I wasn't so good at it, so they had me do some other stuff. He said at one point during his interview or something.
That's not true. Phil, he did a lot of vinyl for us. But it was after I had bought out my second partner, and I was back to practicing. I'm pretty sure I was back to practicing law part-time or full-time then. And so Phil would come in and, no, that's not right. No, I wasn't practicing then. But I know he did vinyl for us.
Okay.
I remember, I think what he would do, he'd come in after work. That's what it was. He'd come in after work and he'd work, in the evening. So
he's a great guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
He sends us a letter every episode, and
He sends us a book every episode.
no, well, he's calmed down. His letters get shorter.
Yeah.
And actually, I talked to him on the phone last week. He called me, so
I got to give him a call. Phil says to me often that Geometric was the best job he ever had, and I don't know how serious he is about that, but I know he had a lot of fun, and he was one of the best employees we ever had. I mean, he was just reliable. I could leave the shop and
I was going to say that's a guy with some work ethic,
Yeah, he really did. He was really responsible, and he just knew, everything's safe with him.
Yeah, don't get your head big, Phil. Okay, don't get big-headed, Phil. Okay?
Yeah, Phil.
Yeah, darn it. George, I have a quick question before we go.
Yep.
And we touched on a little bit before we started the film, but where do you see 3D printing? And, because we've talked a lot about 3D printing in a few of our last episodes, because Jason and I both got a printer, so we're all crazy now. How do you see it incorporating or helping and or hurting the garage kid hobby as it is now?
Well, the helping part is obvious.
Mm-hmm.
There's stuff that we can do with digital sculpting and 3D printing that would take forever traditionally, pushing clay around. So I also think that, if you look at what's coming out of Europe, the 90 millimeter stuff, which is pretty close to our Micromania scale stuff, the stuff they're doing is just incredible.
Yep.
Yeah. Crazy detail. Jump on the Facebook group at Bust or Busts
at Bust. Yep.
Man, and I've been buying that stuff and painting some of it. So I think there's an opportunity for greater variety, better reproductions with the digital printing. I think those are good things. I think it's important to have that new stuff. So I see mostly positive things coming from it.
Right. And when I said negative, just if you saw negative, I'm not saying there are negatives.
Yeah.
You see negatives,
Yeah. Well, I'm not too worried right now about the negative, but we talked earlier about the slippery slope.
Mm-hmm.
That can be concerning. I think I told you about the guy that was showing a digital print of our Frankenstein bust, a wall hanger that Mike Hill sculpted. He had taken it and scanned it and then printed it. And people were, messaging him, asking, if they could buy it, if he'd sell them. And, he said he wouldn't. I talked to him, he said he wouldn't. But it was pretty impressive. And I thought, wow, if people start doing this to myself, we're already getting hit with bootlegs all over the place, even here in the US.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't get on big stuff. It's like, what a pain in the ass to bootleg something that big.
I know. I know.
Seriously.
Yeah. So if that's going on, it's just a matter of time until somebody starts doing that.
Mhm.
And as long as we're kind of talking about it, we were talking earlier about, you guys can stop me if you don't want me to get into this, but
Oh no, go ahead.
we were talking earlier about Mike Berglund's Aurora minis. And Mike's a good friend of mine. He's like family. But he knows that I'm uncomfortable with that. And the thing that makes me most uncomfortable about it is what the next person might do. Because I know Mike and I know his ethics. He wouldn't hurt anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But suppose somebody said, well, there's this company in the 90s, Geometric. They're not around anymore. They did some cool kits. Why don't we scan those and shrink those down to 6-inch figures and put them out? We can make some money. Man, I'd be pissed.
Yeah.
I'd be pissed. And the fact is,
that's where a lot of the concern is.
Yeah.
When it comes to.
Yeah, I really think that the concern that was expressed on Facebook about it is really about what the next people may do, people who don't have scruples and who really don't care. Mike cares about the hobby. He loves
he
the hobby.
does. I think everybody does get that. Yep, he does.
Yeah. So that would be my concern. I think it would be great to have a really big civil conversation about that. There is no code of ethics, but it would be good for folks to be able to agree that at some point it's unacceptable. There are things that are unacceptable.
Right.
Yeah.
We may not be able to agree on everything that is acceptable or what is acceptable, but we should be able to agree on what's definitely not acceptable.
Right. Well, and I don't know how familiar you are with what goes on in the digital world, but there's guys, they sell files.
Right.
They sell files. And they sell the files, George, dirt cheap, $15. Okay.
Yep.
So I look at it, and for $15, I'm going to support the guy, or $10, I'm going to support the guy. And first of all, there's a lot of stuff out there that's not done garage kit wise for me that I love, cartoon characters, Looney Tunes and stuff like that. And so I've been printing those, and this one guy on the one CG Trader site has done a lot of them. And I keep buying them and printing them, and they're $10 a piece, And so I had, and I'll say his name because it was fine. Tom Grossman got a hold of me and said, "Hey, I'd really like a couple of those Wile E. Coyotes. What will you charge me to print them?" I said, "Tom, you're a friend. I've known you a long time. Don't worry about the cost, because it was maybe $3 worth of materials." I said, "But you got to go buy the file from the guy." Okay. The guy don't care what you do with it once you buy the file, as far as he don't care if you print 10 for yourself. Some of them don't even care. Not all of them. Some of them don't even care if you print the files and sell them. Okay. They just don't want you to sell their files. Okay. But which I look at that and go, no, you guys are going about this all wrong, but it's a whole different world. Okay. But I told Tom, you go buy the file and I'll print them for you. And he went and bought the file, and I confirmed that he bought the file from the guy, and I printed them for him. I sent them off to him. So it's, even in that world, and that's where I see the biggest problem in that world is it's hard, man. Once someone gets their hands on that STL file, nothing stops me from sending that to Jason or George or whoever. But I also look at it and go, they're keeping it so cheap. Support the artist.
Yeah, right.
And pay the $10, pay the $15.
Yeah.
You know what that would cost as a garage kit? So yeah.
Yeah.
So, let's hope that all stays ethical. But, I agree with you. The detail you can get on a 3D rendered piece, a lot of the clothing detail and textures that nobody could even sculpt that stuff in.
Right.
Okay. I can't even see that someone could sculpt that in, like, the texture on a Spider-Man uniform that you see in the movies now. Okay. And that's just a brush that they just, boom, they texture the whole thing and it's done. And it's, you'll never get that. So, and you and I talked earlier, you have a little piece that would just be so hard to cast, then 3D print them and, fill up a build plate with 20 of them and there's your piece. And I know Todd Powell's doing that with some of his stuff.
Yeah.
So, to supplement his resin casting and Stan Arts as well, the guy that did the Tauntaun. I don't know if you've seen that out there or not.
Yeah.
He sent a bag of 3D printed pieces to go with the, So it's, I see it incorporating that way,
Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
Jason, what are you printing? What kind of stuff do you print?
You're gonna hate me.
Hate him, George. Hate him, George.
So I just printed and just bronzed this darkness bust.
Wow,
It's the same, which brings me, I'm going to put it next to yours. Like this is actually for a friend, but I have another one. But I like a lot of the same stuff you do, more modern stuff, a little so I'm printing random stuff from all over the place. Some Fifth Element things, some Dungeons and Dragons things, like just weird stuff that would never have been a garage kit ever that I can find on there. Like Spectraman. I found a Spectraman bust that somebody made, and no one's ever going to make that into a kit. So it's like, I have my Spectraman that I've always wanted. So it's just, George, I was going to suggest you, and we don't even have to keep this part in, but you might want to think about, since you are a little trailblazy, doing a way to sell physical ones and sell files for people to print at home. And I know that sounds crazy, but I would look into it.
Okay.
I would look into it and make it for something that, give it a try with one little piece. You sell your physical pieces, like take one of your little busts and say, here, I'm going to start a little, a Patreon or get an account on CG Trader and start putting up one of your busts. Here, I have this digital file. It's $5. You want to print it on your own? Here's $5. And if someone gives that away, and I don't think that's going to hurt you. And I think when we talked to Jamie before, I think you have to look at more of when it comes to the digital stuff, you have to look more at what you're making than what you're losing. And I think if you build a community, and George, you have undoubtedly done that over the years, and people respect you to the point where if you're selling little files of your busts and you're still selling those busts on their own, if you sell that file for $5 on CG Trader, I don't think anyone's going to trade that. I don't think there might be somebody, but I think it would be so negligible that I think people would go, this is George's, this is Blackheart's. I'll pay the $5 for this and never give it away. And you slowly build that community. If you're active with your community, and I know a lot of those guys do this, that those people will go and hunt down your thieves for you and out them. And then you can just ban them and you're like, you're out. You were the person. So I would seriously consider, if I were you, looking at just put one out there and see what it does. Be like, hey, this is one little thing.
Said earlier,
see what happens.
George, you're not a tech guy. Okay.
Right.
You probably want nothing to do with a 3D printer. Okay. And a lot of the garage kit hobby doesn't want anything to do with this.
Cipriano.
And it's not easy. Okay. There's a learning curve, and it's, me personally, I'm about $1,000 in before I even got started, between the printer, the wash station.
Dude, why did you do that math for me? That sucks.
Supplies and all that crap. Okay.
I never added it up.
Okay. But it's kind of like another whole hobby. And that's what I think Jason's getting at, is these guys are over here buying these files and printing them. And there's unscrupulous guys there, like there are in everything you ever do. But for the most part, like a guy like me gets on there and I'm like, I'm going to support this guy because I want him to keep making them. And
if this is any proof, Scott has done more hobby bullshit in the last month than he's done in the last 10 years of buying files and printing them. He has not done, every day he's printing something and spending money and buying something.
Today. I got, hold on, let's see if he shows up. Daffy Duck.
Okay.
I would say, George, and if you want help doing it, I'll set you up. I'll walk you through it and just give it a try. See what happens. It's one.
We're on Cipriano too. We're busting Cipriano.
Oh, we are all over. If we can get you before Cipriano, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, because he's got hundreds of files in his computer that are just sitting there. Okay. And he's never going to release them all. And the thing is, Tony, if you're watching, too bad. Tony Tony's not a tech guy either. Okay. And these things are not as easy as put the file on and let it run. First of all, it's not fast. Okay. I know the stuff Tony's printing out and selling, it takes like 24 hours to print a whole figure. So it's never going to replace the Garage Kid hobby in that speed where if you had a mold and traditional resin, you're going to get the speed. Now, like I told you earlier, a small piece that you could put 20 on a plate. Right. Yes, but so it's two different worlds, but yet the worlds can kind of mix a little bit.
And that's why I mentioned it too, because it's the same thing with the miniature guys. Like, it's another group of people. Like, there was one guy that found our show, and he's probably watching right now. I won't say his name. He sent us an email or a comment and said, "Hey," it was on another episode. He said, "I never knew Garage Kits existed. Never." And he was a 3D printer guy. And he's like, "Holy cow, there's all this other stuff." So it's another thing to tap into that we could bring in and just kind of get a big group hug on all this weird hobby crap.
George is the trailblazer.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, Jason, I'm going to take you up on that.
I think that's a good idea. Give it a try. If you sell 5, you sell 5, but it's a toe in the water. And I think it's worth a shot. Set up either a Patreon. I would look into that, or set up like just a CG Trader account and put a couple files up there and see what happens. And I will gladly shout that out every episode. Be like, "Here's."
Well, and I don't know. Have any of your big heads been digitally sculpted yet, or no? You're like 1-to-1 scales.
No, because printers that could print that big weren't accessible.
Weren't accessible at that point. Yeah. But if you get to that point, and I don't know if you're going to get to that point, but if you got to that point, or even, a lot of guys don't want the 1-to-1 scale, but they might say, "Man, but if I can take that and shrink it down, and or dare I say, George, even if you scan them, and what you do have, it's another untapped place."
We've hounded George enough on this.
Sorry, we busted George's ass.
All right. George, seriously, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Anything else you want to plug? Anything? You good?
I think I'm good.
I think you're good.
And how does anyone reach George? It's blackartmodels.com, I know, is the website, correct?
Yep.
And they can contact you through there.
Yeah, or Facebook.
All right.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Or go break the law in Minnesota, and
yeah, you'll get to know me then.
Yeah, guilty. Yeah,
the Honorable George Stephenson.
I'd be sitting there going, "Not guilty, George. George, not guilty. You're out.
Yeah,
take him 30 days."
Jason.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, I'm gonna take you up on that.
Okay, thank you. I think you'll do well. I think it will.
It'll be a little while, but I'm gonna.
I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
Cool.
All right, fellas.
Thanks, man. Thank you so much for
joining
us.
On. And we're back. Thank you, George Stephenson, one of the godfathers of the hobby. I know that's a term that gets used a lot, but George was around from the very, very, very early days.
Mm-hmm.
And, we mentioned in the interview, George grew up in Chicago and frequented a lot of the hobby stores that you and I did.
Yeah, so, same hobbies. We're like hobby brothers.
Sort of. And so thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing some of this new stuff you've got coming. I really commend George for transitioning with the hobby. And as far as, he went to that show, he saw all these miniatures, and he saw A, potential, as a businessman, potential sales, but B, okay, I can add this to my line, and then I can appeal to this group of modelers. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it definitely didn't get stuck behind the line. It's
no, not at all.
Good for him. Good for him for evolving. I think a lot of people need to think about the future like that, and because it's changing fast, super fast. But yes, thank you, George. It's an honor to have you on every time, and we'll look forward to having you on again. It's good time.
Yeah, when he starts selling those STLs.
Yeah. We got it was my idea. I can say that for once. Scott, it's time for your favorite part of the show.
Oh, Mr. Mumble's
Mumblemania.
mailbag. Mr. Mumble's mailbag. I should
Emails.
make a picture.
We should. All right. Emails and corrections. We already made our correction, but is there another correction?
I don't think so.
No. Oh, I do have one.
Oh, joy.
From like 4 episodes ago. Jamie took the picture of the UFO. My girlfriend. I caught hell for not giving credit. And Jamie took the photograph of the UFO, and I kept forgetting to do the correction. So
she actually watches.
I think she watched just the beginning of that one because it was in the beginning of the episode. She doesn't watch the rest. So she won't, unless she's hearing me through the floor, she's not going to hear the correct.
Yeah, too bad. Whatever. She's lucky we even mention her. She's no Shanna Worthley. I'll tell you that.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. Wait till she hears that.
Whoa.
All right. Here, more beef. There's more beef.
More beef.
More beef. There's the beef. I'll have to have her come on and beef it out.
Beef it out with the big beef.
All right, sorry. We're rambling. All right, sorry. All right.
Yeah, you're mumbling. Not mumbling.
Rambling and mumbling. Here we go. So this is what I talked about earlier from Heng. So his emails all say Henry. So I first asked him, I'm like, why is your name Heng if it's Henry? And here's the response. Henry is the official name, but every Henry is a Heng. Heng. Robert, Rob, Charles, Chuck. So Heng is, I guess, short for Henry or Henri.
Oh.
If you're French, I guess.
But now, is that Luxembourg?
This is Luxembourg. So
because I think in German, Heinrich is Henry.
Really?
I think.
Okay.
I could be wrong. Maybe Norbert or Rainer could correct me if I'm wrong.
All right. Germans,
But,
get in there. And
get in there. I think Heinrich is Henry or, yeah.
And I still haven't pulled my other glasses out of my bag, so I can't really see what these.
And in the United States, Henry turns into Hank somehow.
And they said everyone, since ever, except my mother, everybody calling me Hank. So only his mom calls him Henry. If you look at the videos from Matt Mrozik, I told him from Luxembourg, he made me German. So I don't think the people from Luxembourg really like to be called German. So please don't do that.
Mrozik, you're in trouble.
I know. I am not one of the super patriotic guys, but I am one of the 600,000 living here. Only about 300,000 speak the native language. Yes, I do. It's only half of Luxembourg speaks Luxembourgish. That's about the same here for English.
Yeah, but when you think about that, 600,000 people. So, like, the city of Chicago is what? How many million?
4? 3?
I don't even know. So, I mean, when you think about it, it's not a...
I'll bet he doesn't have to dodge bullets on the way downtown, though.
No.
Like we do. And that's not a lie, actually. I'm not making that up.
No, I don't go downtown anymore.
Well, my only path downtown is through a gunfight. So, and that happens every day. Luxembourg is largely multilingual, while a 2009 survey revealed that the French was the language spoken by most inhabitants. So, then it is Henri, perhaps. 99% of the people there speak French. Luxembourgish, 62%. German, 81%. English, 72%. Were also spoken by large sections of the population. I'm going to go through some of this other stuff. We think we are the smallest country in the world. Others claim the title. But to be true, yes, they are smaller, but now no countries. They are just kind of outer territories from a country. Monaco, France. Liechtenstein, Switzerland. Andorra, Spain. Malta, Greece. Dude, it's a social studies class today.
I'm looking at a map right now.
Okay.
So it's Belgium, Germany, and France all border Luxembourg.
So they're like the meat of the French-German sandwich.
You know, and to the north of Luxembourg, and it doesn't it doesn't border it, but it's the Netherlands. And I had an aunt that grew up in the Netherlands, and she spoke 5 different languages. And understand some of these, like especially Luxembourg for sure, and Belgium, and even the Netherlands, are smaller than some of our states. So what happens when you're a kid growing up there, or at least this is what my aunt explained to me, is you learn these different languages because everything is so close. So, yeah, she spoke French, and I think she spoke German, obviously Dutch, and I don't know if she spoke Luxembourg. I wish she was still alive. I would ask her, but probably not if it's kind of like old school. But it's just kind of interesting that overseas they learn. We bitch about learning Spanish here, and they're all.
I can
over.
barely speak English, so
That's true.
any other language, I got straight D's in Spanish. The only cool thing about Spanish class was my name was Jesus / Jesus. so when my Spanish teacher yelled at me all the time, she would have to say Jesus. So she was yelling at me, calling me Jesus, which I thought was pretty cool.
So Jason translates to Jesus?
I guess. I think it's the closest thing. I think it's Jesus, but I don't know. They called me Jesus. Scott, you know what we forgot to mention?
No, I don't.
What have I become?
Well, speaking of Jesus.
Speaking of Jesus, I am now an ordained minister. Call me Papa. Preacher man. That's what I am now. Preacher man.
Like an overaged rabbi.
I got my paperwork in the mail for nefarious reasons. I'm not going to talk about it. Anyway, thank you, Heng, for sending all that. Thank you again for the giveaway. Please keep reaching out to us. I love to hear from you more and love to meet you one day. I've only been to Germany once, only been to Europe that one time.
Not Germany. It's
no, but I'm just saying,
Luxembourg.
I've been to Germany one time.
I was going to say, go ahead and fuck it up, and the guy will never send us.
I have not. I know the difference. I know the difference.
Did you ever fucking Luxembourgish?
That's what he said. Did you ever do your ancestry thing? As we make this episode super long? No, you haven't?
No. Well, okay. My sister has, and my ancestor, but my sister and I don't have the same mother.
Okay.
But we have the same father, and it's kind of weird how they can kind of track on my grandmother's side because my grandparents came from Norway, but it's like on my grandfather's side, there's nothing.
Really?
Like nothing. Yeah. So for all I know, my my grandfather was a serial killer out there and covered his tracks and moved to the U.S. Who knows? So,
it turns out I am mostly Pomeranian, which is the northern part of Poland, and then like Belarus, Russian Jew, perhaps, which was always the rumor. What are you doing? Biting your tongue? You got a Polish joke? No,
like a zillion.
You're gonna offend everyone who can do. God,
super Polish. I'll tell them slow.
Yeah. Okay. And Hungary. I have family in Hungary still, which I'd love one day to go to Budapest to visit them and get over there. So, yeah, European, which I did find out I had German, which I didn't know, and some other stuff. It's kind of cool. And now the government has more of my DNA than they already did. Anyway, Phil Kupka.
Phil. Now we're going to get video messages from Phil. Watch.
All right. No more video messages, people, because I forget to look at them and put them in. I look at them and put them in a different folder and then forget to put them in, and I forget to put them in the episode. Anyway. You shut up. Just got through watching episodes.
Hold on. You know what? If people would just record videos, we wouldn't have to watch you mumble through the fucking emails.
Brilliant. Scott, this is the greatest thing you've ever done. If you would like to record video messages and send them to me instead of print emails, we have just modernized this show and we brought it into the 2020s.
And we probably shortened the show by about a half hour by the time Mumbles gets through going, let me start over.
Oh my God, this is great. If you have the ability to do a video message, send it to me at modelclubtv@gmail.com. I will gladly put that on there instead of me reading the email. That would be fantastic. Or there's a way to get voicemails. I'm going to figure that out and put those up. That will work too. I get like one of those Google Voice things, I think. If you want to record yourself and send me the file MP3, I'll put that in there too.
They do the Facebook record thing. I wonder if we can.
Dude, this is this is brilliant. Thank you, Scott. Your mad intellect has finally paid off.
Paid off a long time ago.
No, it didn't.
The fact you have any viewership is because of me. I want to watch your old fucking reverend ass, fucking crooked glass.
Preacher man. It's Preacher Man.
That's great. Can you imagine him delivering a sermon?
No, when I get into preacher mode, these words come out properly. Scott Johansson. Repent, fool. No?
You know, you always have the Lord by your side. Let's see who knows what that's.
All right, we got to stop. Okay. Oh, wait. I don't know what that is.
I know. I'll tell everyone next episode if no one guesses.
All right. If we even get this part in the show, because we're so long now.
Jesus Christ. Just read it.
All right. From Phil. Just got through watching episode 28. Here's an idea for Jason on the road without Scott. Ever been to Waltz and Joliet? Phil doesn't watch the show. We recorded it, Waltz. Took pictures.
I told him that. I said, we did it on the road together.
So Waltz. Evidently Phil doesn't watch very carefully.
Yeah.
So Scott, you didn't like feed, eh? I sent Jason along something you might enjoy. Scott, check out the slide.
Hold, please. Where am I? Ooh. Ooh. Although the dog feed, I would kiss the dog's feet.
No, the dog feed's the grossest thing on there.
No, it's not. They smell like popcorn.
No, they smell like dog shit.
No,
that's not as bad as cat feet, but ugh. How people let cats on their counter?
You know, and I don't even want to get in trouble because I don't know whose foot is whose, but that one on the right kind of looks like Daffy Duck's foot. It's kind of flattened out there. Okay, just saying.
Boy. Oh, more beef! More beef!
You want to put your feet on here? That's fine.
More beef. All right, I'm gonna read these without my glasses because those aren't working for me. All right, nice update from Mark, and I totally agree that communicating with customers or other people you deal with, keep them up to date. If there's a problem such as a holdup in production, shipping, whatever, it's nice to know the status of this situation. Here are some characters I would like to see produced, whether 3D or clay sculpted. Scott McCloud as Space Angel, all the Dick Tracy cartoon characters, Dick Tracy, Joe Jitsu, Flat Top. He didn't say Mumbles.
He sees enough of Mumbles.
Your discussion on Young Frankenstein reminded me of a date with Diane I had, and I went on before we were married. We went to a drive-in movie theater and saw Young Frankenstein. The refreshments we brought along included a few bottles of lemon sour and a bottle of vodka, which we got into during the first movie, whatever that was. Needless to say, you can imagine how much we enjoyed laughing at Young Frankenstein. Kids, don't try this at home. Well, if you're old enough to consume alcohol, don't try this at a movie theater and then drive home. Good advice. Scotty, in my book that I sent you a copy of and hope maybe you have read some of it, you can read about the sequel to this story that happened about 40 years later. Jason, love your barefoot painting, jump down on the electric plug and blood squirt on the wall story. Sounds like a kill your mother, kill your father movie. Sort of. Looks like it. So what did you do after you got bandaged up to clean up the wall? I just took a giant sponge, had to scrub it off and then repaint the wall. Scotty and Jason, love that you reached out to fellow modelers in your area in hopes of getting together. Back when I lived in Minnesota, there was a few of us that got together after I moved to Oregon. I missed those get-togethers, so I reached out to Hobby Talk and anybody in the Portland, Oregon area that might like to get together. Since that first gathering in the fall of 2015, some of our swamp meets have had as many as 30 guys in attendance. Here's a few more photos of some of my past bills for the gallery. So thank you, Phil. We did get 2 people reach out for a get-together. So if you would like to do a get-together in the Chicago area, please email us. Putting it up there now. And we'll start working on that. If we only get 2 people, we probably won't do it.
Yeah, and we have another gentleman. He's a friend of George's that actually got into. He lives in Matson, Daryl Duncan, and I reached out to him and told him about the idea, and he said, "Oh yeah, keep me posted for sure," because he lives very close. So so maybe we have 3 people interested.
Okay,
but
cool.
You know, we'd like to get some more. We know there's some guys local that we know even that haven't really got back, but
and I say that because you really don't want to be around. If it's just you don't want to be around the 2 of us for more than 20 minutes by yourself. No. It'll get really annoying really fast.
Funny all the time.
We're funny here for about 5 minutes, and then we suck the rest of the time.
You suck.
Yeah, I do.
I got offers, pal.
Kendall Conniff sent in a bunch of stuff. I'm going to put a picture up here of what he worked on, but then I'm going to put all of that in the user gallery I always say user, viewers gallery. Hi, Jason. I'm still working on the Grim Reaper, but maybe next time. I wanted to add some static grass to the base, so I've been watching videos and bought an electric fly swatter to make into an applicator. I bought the same thing, and it's sitting right over there that I never did it because I want to make that too. Maybe I should.
I'll tell you what, I have one of those electric fly swatters.
We should all make the electric grass, the static grass thing out of it.
But we use it for actually killing bugs. And there's nothing more satisfying than zapping one of them fuckers.
Okay.
But now here's the key. Once you zap them and they're on the thing, all right, you got to hit the button until they smoke because otherwise they'll come back to life. Okay. So and you don't use it as a swatter. So you like go up to the window with it, like if there's a fly here, and you kind of sneak up to it, and then you hit the button and you push it over, and when the fly flies into it, that's how you get them. You don't actually use it and try to bang down it.
This is one of those moments where Jason's brain is saying, should I say this?
Yeah, go ahead.
So I used to work. I don't even want to call it work. I used to be a part of a traveling interactive bondage show. And one of our tools was an electric fly swatter.
We wonder why he stutters. He's been shock therapy with an electric fly swatter in his diaper.
Yeah. No, it wasn't that. So I'll leave it at that.
Why are you such a freak show?
I'll put up a picture somewhere of just my costume.
Do.
No, yeah. I can't. Actually, I can't. I probably have to edit this out, actually. All right. Anyway.
Traveling bondage. I never heard anything so ridiculous.
I was meat face. That's where all my meat face masks come from.
Oh my God.
I don't know where I would be without YouTube videos to learn and learn from, inspire ideas. The terrain guys have so much that we can learn from and make our builds even better. Totally agree. Anyway, I know how much you like custom stuff, so here's my Mobius Invisible Man. We're running super long. Please check out the viewers gallery at the end, and I'm putting all of Kendall's picture in there. This is a really cool build of his Invisible Man, so please check it out in the viewers gallery at the end. That's a little tease. From CG Blade. He has a request. Jason, please read this on your podcast if you get a chance. I was wondering if you could beg or plead for a talented sculptor to make a 1/8/1/6 scale figure of Sophia Boutella from the newest Mummy movie. I would be willing to assist and help in the payments to get this done. I would like to see the entire figure on a diorama with perhaps the sand face behind her, turned minions lying on the ground in the church scene. The character is so gorgeous, she deserves her own kit. I've added images from the movie, so I put those up here. If you would be interested in working with CG Blade on producing a kit, get a hold of him. And I'm sure he'll comment in here. Jump on there with him. From Bucky St. Bucky.
One of our winners.
Getting fed up trying to Google some answers. So I'm going to go directly to the experts now. We're experts. After printing, cleaning, and leaving it to dry for 24 hours, how long do you wait before you prime after curing? Should I wait another 24 hours? Thanks for your help. Here's what I said. I would think after curing, you are good to go. I would just give it a wash in Simple Green or another degreaser, let it dry and prime. I let mine sit longer because I'm just lazy. Does that seem about right?
It does. One thing to realize with any of these pieces is they're cured with ultraviolet light. Okay.
Wait, did you say ultraviolet or ultraviolet?
Ultraviolet light.
Ultraviolet is
me in a
Clockwork Orange.
So don't leave them by your window because what happens is, what I've been told anyway, this stuff will continue to cure.
Mm-hmm.
And if it cures too much, they will crack. Okay, so you do want to get a coat of something on them as soon as you can.
Yeah.
And I'm not even so sure when you're done, if you don't want to hit them, they do sell an UV protectant clear spray that maybe you want to hit this stuff with.
That was a question I had. You know what? Yeah, we'll get some more information for you because I had that same question. You need to prime them as fast as if you're. There's no windows. I've painted all the windows black down here, so the sun can't get in. Mostly for the show, but if you have a clear piece of resin that you cast and it's UV cured, and you want it to stay clear, what do? Have you so that Mr. Freeze kit, it's got the clear dome. What do you do with that? We'll have to find out. We'll talk to Jamie and we'll get back, but you should be good to go. After cleaning it, you should be ready and good.
Yeah. And I know the UV coating is clear, but I don't know what that would do to a clear piece.
Yeah. That's what I got to figure out. Chuck Homoka sent this in and I thought it was pretty funny. So I want you to zoom in. This is a Halloween watching movie blanket. And they have tons of horror movies and stuff on there. And I want you to zoom in on the King Kong in the lower right corner. And see which King Kong they used for King Kong.
No, I'm going to get mad. Ugh. Oh, wait. That's Cujo. Hold on. Oh. Ugh. Ugh.
Okay, final email from Mark Worthling. We put it way at the end.
Oh, yeah, just to make him watch till the end. Did you say Worthling?
Mm-hmm. All right. Hey guys, can't wait to see the next episode. Just wanted to let you know that since we recorded episode 28, I have received confirmation that the kits are now finally on U.S. soil. So the witch kits are in the States. They're going to go through all the paperwork and customs and are still expected to be delivered to Orlando around September 9th. So with this information, I have high confidence that we'll be shipping kits mid-September. This is great. I really wanted folks to get these before Halloween. By the way, Sandy, Grease Kit, will also be delivered at the same time. So I will be promoting that on the forums over the next few weeks. Thanks for all you do. Scott? Big Galuna? Question mark. Have a great show, guys. Shayna and I will be watching. Mark and Shayna Worthling. We said Mark Worthling again.
Oh.
Okay. So that's great. Which kits are coming? We're here. They're done. They're here in the States. That's fantastic.
Which is coming. Sandy's coming. I heard Shanna's going to dress up like Sandy and say,
You're going to get beat up. You're going to get beat up.
What's the line from Grease? Something about stud?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen Grease all the way through.
I have, unfortunately. But
you've seen Grease, but not. Oh, God. All right, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you next episode. Episode 30, Scott.
Episode 30. And
that's a round number.
Yeah, and thanks to everyone that was on Facebook wishing me a happy birthday. And I noticed Jason didn't even mention it this episode. So, yeah, this is the first episode. I'm 58. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Jason. For
your
nothing.
episode was last week. Why would I wish you a happy birthday now?
Dick.
record.
Oh, my dog just farted. Hold on. Woo! All right. Thanks for that, you old bastard. All right, sorry.
Always blame it on the dog. Yep.
Oh, I had White Castles last night. I've expelled that poison.